All right, Matt, we are live yet again. 2 nights in a row, folks, just because they missed us so much, Matt. We had to come back with a double tonight. How you doing tonight, Matty?
I'm doing good. A little tired, but I got my iced coffee here. Just had a couple of glasses before I came up, and we'll be back Wednesday night too. So
yeah, I feel like, Matt, we're going to suffer from the fans are clamoring for more, and then we're going to be on 3 nights. I mean, are we saturating this tremendous performance that we put on every night for our 1 to 5 fans that come in religiously? So tonight, Maddie and I are picking out of the 6th spot. We should be joined by Ryan Edwards from KOA Radio probably within the next 15, 20 minutes. So Matt and I are going 6 tonight, which is maybe only the second time I've picked Matt, either with you or on my own. I think you said you haven't picked much. So we got a different look tonight, Matt. So what's our initial thoughts going into this without giving away our secret sauce like we usually do?
I mean, I think it's going to go chalk the first 4, so it really starts at 5. It basically is going to depend upon what Team 5 does, and that's going to set us up. We'll either go, we're thinking wide receiver or running back here, and we'll see how our hand goes. I think once you get past 5, or even at 5, if you want, that's when the fun starts, the draft starts. You can...
Well, the one wild card tonight, Maddie, right, is there's some different names in this room. I'm not going to mention names. I mean, I don't care. Duke's in here. He doesn't care. We mentioned his name. He's picking 4. Jody Ryan's in here. The Hillesheim combo is in here. So I recognize them. And some other guys I've seen here or there as well. If anybody cares, if they want to just throw in the comments that where they're picking, we're happy to mention it. But there's names I haven't seen before, so I think that's cool. And a lot of things could be a little bit different. So let's see how things fall.
Yeah, I'm hoping we have a little fun with some of the injuries that have been happening.
Oh,
and some people fall, some people get pushed up. I will say in the live stream that I caught a few rounds of that Vaccaro's in, not Kenny Vaccaro, but Chris Vaccaro.
Somebody called him Kenny Vaccaro?
Which is in Burden went at 37. We took him at 36 last night, so that was interesting.
I mean, listen, he's right now, right, Matt? Looked like they're saying he's going to play opening day. He looked like he was walking pretty good.
I'm sorry. Did I say Burden?
You said Burden, yeah. Parker Washington. Okay.
I meant him. But yeah, Burden to me, it'll be interesting to see where he goes, what effect that has on his teammates in this draft. I mean, that's something we definitely will be paying attention to.
Yeah. Oh, here's one of my favorite fans, Big Mike Trademark, otherwise known as my nephew, Matt. Mike. Like a Big Mark. Yeah, Big Mark. I call him Big Mike Trademark now because he's I don't know why. I still would love. I haven't even asked him about where that trademark came from. Yeah, that just blows my mind that he's got the trademark in there. So Ryan is coming on. Let me bring Ryan in. Mr. Ryan Edwards.
Hey,
how's it going?
Welcome to our stream, Ryan. Thank you so much for joining us. How are you doing tonight?
Doing good. How are you guys?
Doing all right. Well. A lot of news coming from your part of the country today, Ryan. I mean, I feel like, we need to send you to medical school to kind of diagnose these constant flow of injuries. It's pretty crazy. But before we get to all that, Ryan, first of all, thanks again for joining us. As I mentioned, I've been listening to Ryan and Ben, as you know, back to the BCT days, Ryan, when I discovered you guys, and being, a fan of the Broncos here, in this part of the country, never getting info. Then about 5-6 years ago, I find you guys on the radio, and after growing up with WFAN, Ryan, which I'm sure you've heard of, and the very different styles, like I've learned so much more about football. Right, from listening to you and Ben and then Dave and Nick and you work with Steve Atwater, Ryan, who I grew up idolizing as a kid, right? And it's not only getting the Broncos content, but like you get football content and you guys are amazing. Even when you went and covered the combine, I mean, Matt, these guys are talking about players. I wish I could go back, Brian, and listen to you and Ben's takes from 4 combines ago. On some of the players, but you learned so much, and the work you guys do is amazing. I love you, and Ben is Ben is my favorite. He's just Ben is between his content and his style I love, but thanks for you guys really are to do a great job. I wish people in New York could hear you guys as much as I hear you.
I appreciate that. I certainly love what we get to do, and it's a good time of year, man. It's football season, so pretty exciting.
Yeah. So, Ryan, let me tell you a little bit about the draft format, right? So this NFFC, this is a national contest. So, like I mentioned, we go and we draft typically online. They do live drafts in Vegas and in New York City. So the format here is 12-team. You start a quarterback, 2 running backs, 3 receivers. So that's a very important. 3 receivers, tight end, flex, team defense, team kicker. The other little secret that they do, right, is they have what they call third round reversal, right? So third round reversal is if you're picking 12th, you're picking first in the third round. The logic behind that, you might find it funny, is that the years that LaDainian Tomlinson scored hundreds of more points than everyone else,
right?
Greg Ambrosius, who's the founder of this, found that it was an unfair advantage, the guy with the number 1 pick. So he put this in place and never changed it back, right? Even though you haven't seen a lot of LaDainian Tomlinson type of dominance in fantasy, he kind of kept it as the NFFC secret sauce. So that's just a little twist here. So receivers, Ryan, will run fast because you got to start 3. And the third round reversal does switch things. So we got, number 1 pick is great, but you're really not seeing the value of that, till rounds 3 and 4. So those are just some of the things that are a little bit different.
So it's the third round's the only one that flips, right? Then you go back to okay.
So back to the same thing. So right, I know, I was mentioning to Matt, you play a lot of fantasy football, right? I hear you guys. You're probably the most avid guy, on the station played. So what do you do, Ryan, for fantasy prep? I mean, your job is football, right? So you're kind of prepping all year round. But when you look at the leagues you do, is anything specific for you kind of get ready for your drafts?
Yeah, I mean, scoring, you got to know you're scoring before you know anything. So like you said, how many quarterbacks, if it's a 2 QB league, how many wide receivers, that's always important. If it's PPR, most leagues are now, but I still play in one that isn't because the guy is just refusing to so that can and if there's a tight end boost, or if there's I play in one league where team defense can score 60 points at a game.
Oh God, that's crazy.
So team defense is premium. And not that you're going to draft it in the top 5 or anything, but you don't. Sometimes team defenses are one of the last picks, next to kicker. And in that league, you want to prioritize it a little earlier. So it just kind of just knowing the scoring is usually the first thing, and then I think you kind of stack things the way you feel good about it. Some years I've played with no, I'm going to take a premium quarterback. And in some years I wait very late on quarterback, and I think it sort of varies on the year how good I feel about the fantasy quarterback. So that one I've never done 0 RB, but I know there's a lot of people that believe in that.
You'll see that tonight, most. You'll see we call them yellow and green stickers in this format.
Yeah. So just knowing you're scoring, that's always the first thing. You gotta be up on that, and I say, to most people, if you're scoring and you stay up on waivers and managing your team, you usually can make the playoffs just like on that. Even if you have a bad draft, you can usually find some talent on waivers and just be aggressive. Maybe make some trades, but people, I think oftentimes they draft and they forget about their team and they don't do very much. And then they wonder why they don't do well in it. So
these leagues, Ryan, are no trades. So there's no trades allowed because they're national contests. The other thing, Ryan, what's interesting here is you win. There's 12 teams. Only the top 2 actually get paid out, but then there's money that goes into an overall pool. So what happens is there's, I don't know, Matt, how many of these OCs? couple of
It's
hundred.
probably like 5,000. Wait, meaning like teams? It's
Yeah,
probably
teams
like
is a couple of
5,000.
thousand. Yeah, 5,000.
Yeah, probably like
teams.
5,000 teams or so.
Yeah. So then, Ryan,
So-
so part of the pool goes into an overall prize. So it essentially takes your stats and compares them against the other 5,000 people in the tournament. And then if you win first place, you win. This year it's $300,000. And so there's so people who are big, big ticket players, right? They'll do a lot of volume. They'll like to win the league, but they're drafting teams with the eye on the lottery ticket, right? So the thing with stacking, Ryan, comes in here where, Guy won this a couple of years ago. He had a Bengals stack with Burrow and Chase and whatnot. So you'll see people try to correlate, quarterbacks and wide receivers specifically, and even sometimes more. So but what's cool about this, right? You got some people that play one league, right? They want to win the league and they're happy. Then you got high volume guys who are drafting, with the eye on the big prize. So you'll see very different builds. What we like to do, Matt has been playing in these longer than me, and he's one of the known experts in the industry, is we like to look at how people construct their teams, right? Like in this format, you had a guy yesterday where you're starting 3 receivers, 2 running backs, and he drafts 4 running backs in the first 5-6 rounds. So then you're drafting a bench guy before your second wide receiver, which, listen, anything can happen, but it's just not a good way to go about things, right? So that's kind of what we talked through a little bit. But Ryan, before we get started, we're going to kick off in about a minute here. I just want to put up, so follow Ryan at Ryan Edwards Radio on Twitter. And by the way, if you guys want to hear some great radio, Ryan has I don't even know how to describe your job, Ryan, at the Broncos post game. So, Matt, I don't know, Ryan, after every Bronco game, takes calls for how many hours, Ryan? 4, 5?
Yeah, it depends on when the game was. If it's an 11 a.m. game, 6 hours. But if it's like at 2 o'clock, our mountain time, then about 3.5. I
mean, Ryan just takes the jump off the cliff calls and the elation. I mean, last year, Ryan, we had a good year, but Ryan's been doing this during some of the Nate Hackett years and whatnot. And I mean, the people some of the calls, I'm just like, I don't know how you do it, Ryan, but you do it with grace and with class. So that's got to be one of the tougher parts of your job.
I'm a Bills fan, and I wanted to jump out the window after that playoff game versus the Broncos. I couldn't believe it.
Hey, listen, for what it's worth. Hey, for what it's worth, we had the gut punch of Bo Nix's ankle moments after that game. So
yes, that's true.
I know it was a gut punch for Buffalo fans. I understand that, but we were in misery with you not 20 minutes after that game.
Ryan, did you think that was a fake tweet? Did you think that was a fake tweet? I thought that was spam at first, right, when it came out.
Yeah, the very first moment I saw it, it was like I saw the alert, and I think it was Pelissero, and then I was like, well, I got to wait till we get another one. And I had a call because we were already in the post game, and I had a caller on, and he was, kind of cracking jokes with me. And all of a sudden my stomach just sank. And I was like, guys, I'm sorry, I got to let you go because Bo Nix just broke his ankle and he's out for the season. and it was just like, it literally, the entire air of the city was let out. That's how it felt.
Yeah. So speaking of that, Ryan, so for everyone, Ryan, you're at camp every day, right? In this part of camp, you're out there covering it. Ryan posts on Twitter some of his observations, but I want to start out, Ryan, Bo Nix, right? So clearly we're talking about Bo. His health is paramount to this season, even being remotely successful. How is he looking so far?
He looks phenomenal. Honestly, we sort of stopped talking about his ankle because even today, like they ran a QB option with him and he looks just as fast as he ever has. And no, in OTAs, mandatory minicamp, you thought you saw a little bit of like, all right, he's not quite, it's going to take a minute. We'll see how that looks in training camp, but they've done design stuff with him out at camp just to kind of get him going. I mean, I don't know how much they're going to do early in the season or even in the preseason, but I think if nothing else, just to show him and show everybody else that his ankle's good. So his health, that of all the injury stuff that we are dealing with right now, that is one of the last ones I'm worried about.
Yeah, that's good. The most important, but definitely the one, going into the season, everyone's concerned with. Before we get to the next question, right? So we got the 6th pick, Ryan. We went with Chase Brown, right? I'm a big fan of that offense. I think that team, Ryan, is kind of a sleeper team in the AFC. What's your take on the Bengals and Chase Brown going this early?
And I like Chase Brown a lot. It's interesting you decided to go with him instead of Smith and Jigba. And again, it's not just more of the 3 wide receiver thing. I probably, because of that, I tend to tilt those guys up a little bit. But Chase Brown's a surefire RB1, definitely a first round guy. And the reports out of Cincinnati is that they're using him all over the place. So, from a PPR standpoint, he's certainly going to continue to be a really highly effective. And it's one of the best offenses to own players in, period. Yeah. So I like him a lot. Like I said, the only thing I would have tilted maybe Smith and Jigba a hair above him just because of the fact that he's, you're a wide receiver there.
Yeah, and I think we do quite a bit of these, Ryan, from a volume perspective. So Matt and I are also, just like you would invest your kids' 529s and your 401ks. We like to, Ryan's got 2 daughters. Ryan, you're on the cusp of college, right? In a couple of years, your girls are getting big.
That's right.
So, you got to diversify your portfolio. But yeah, right. Before we get back to the Broncos, JSN, a lot of the drafters here, for some reason, are thinking that there's a drop-off with JSN this year. Even though a drop-off for him, even slightly, would be a great year. What do you think of him in the Seahawks this year, Ryan?
Yeah, I mean, after last year, right? I mean, it almost feels natural that he would have a little bit of a regression. But, I've always just been a big fan of his as a wide receiver. Sam Darnold is probably a little bit of the reason. Maybe, changing offensive coordinator could be something that scares some people off. I just, maybe you watch Hard Knocks or otherwise, it's just there's something very special about him, and there really is nobody pushing on him. Cooper Kupp is not going to push on him for those targets. It's not like suddenly they're going to go to hey, let's target the tight ends 15 times a game. Right. He's still going to be like a heavy target guy no matter what. So there's first round for me, I tend to I just want high floor. Right, I want as surefire as I can get. Chase Brown's in that conversation, so that's not a bad pick or anything. It's just I want guys that I'm like, man, I just want to put that guy into my lineup. Not think about it for the rest of the season, hopefully, and right. So he's in that conversation for me still.
Yeah, for us, usually we would go with the wide receiver unless we were taking Gibbs or Bijan up front. But there's only one other running back, if he makes it to us, that I would double up here. But we're pretty much probably going to should be pounding yellow for about next 4 rounds.
Well, there's still a lot of great wide receivers. There's still a lot of great wide receivers out there. So
yeah. And the first round, Ryan, in terms of the people who are in the first round, have been very consistent. We've been drafting. I mean, some people we know draft since April. We started drafting in June. And the members of the first round are pretty solid. Genty's solid, McCaffrey. Taylor will slip a little bit to the second round, but, Jefferson has been kind of dropping a little bit lately. But the participants are the same. The order shifts around a little bit. So we're up here, Matt. So what do we got? So we're definitely thinking wide receiver, I would say here, Matt.
I'm good with any one of these 3. I mean, 2's probably my favorite, but I'm good with 1, 2, or 3. We have 3 guys in the queue. The only running back I would have doubled up on here was if Kenneth Walker made it to us. That would have been a conversation.
Really? You're high on Walker, huh?
I think that offense is going to run through him.
Okay.
He got paid. They haven't had a running game in 3 years. I know they've run the ball, but they haven't had a running back. And I think they get back Andy Reid. Once upon a time was like the running back whisperer. Who we taking, Paul?
Let's go with London. So, right. So, right. We were thinking between London and we can't. Oh, we don't want to say the other guys, even though he won't last.
Yeah,
we'll talk about it in a second. But right, Kenneth Walker, you had a little bit of an adverse reaction to Walker. Ryan, what are you thinking?
I'm not in on it. I guess I had to see it to believe it with Andy Reid in the run game. You're right in the sense that he in Philly he was he had a certain commitment to it. But as his time has gone on, and maybe you're right. Maybe he just hasn't had the right running back. But they drafted Clyde Edwards-Helaire in the first round. Kareem Hunt was it was a productive back for them, and obviously still kind of is once in a while. But I get nervous that goal line stuff will just be Patrick, like him creating, him even passing. I mean, him keeping it, they'll never do quarterback dives with Patrick, not after he got injured in Denver, but they still will roll him out. and that means the running back's not getting it. So it's like it feels like a bit of a capped.
I look at it as my projection for him this year is similar to Kareem Hunt's rookie year when he was young and was catching 60 balls and stuff, or getting targets. And I look at Walker as a guy, he's a year removed from 11 games with 54 targets in Seattle, and I think that's really going to be a part of their game. So if I'm right there, it works. If not, then it's going to be a rough season.
Let's just hope he puts up a donut opening night, right? Right. Let's just hope he gets he scores 2 points on us. Right. Next, talking a bit about the Broncos again, right? So, you guys talk about Sean Payton a lot, Ryan, right? I mean, I love Ben and the Sean Payton conversation. I think are hysterical. He brought this franchise back with ownership, though, right? I think a lot of people underestimate the dysfunction, which better than me, but you can know enough by just following the team. When Mr. Bolin died, right? The whole thing with the family, the team suffered through a lack of leadership, right? Elway kept it floating, right, for a long time. When that kind of ran out, the team was floundering. So ownership comes in, which has been a godsend, right? You see it every day more than me. You see this facility that they just built, but they come in, they bring Sean Payton in. Right. Love him or hate him, Ryan, the guy has turned the franchise in the right direction, right? It's a different vibe. It's a different feel. He's brought in the right type of player too, right? He's not, I kind of like the fact that he's not bringing in thugs and punks, and, it doesn't seem like there's a lot of that in the locker room. So leading up to now, he steps down from play calling, which I know your partner, Dave Logan, was shocked, right, when that happened. Yeah. So now we got Davis Webb, who we know Bo Nix loves. Tell us a bit about what you're seeing with the Davis Webb offense and kind of what your initial thoughts are.
Well, I believe them when they say most of what we're going to notice is really in the games. So the preseason will be a little taste of that, but there's a lot more motion, which is great. And I'm hoping and I'm thinking, because they want to play with a little bit of tempo, that he'll leave some of the formation, some of the players in. Instead of constantly cycling in and out like Sean had been doing. So I'm hoping that we'll get a little bit more of that. Brock Bowers, here we go.
Yeah.
That's late for Brock Bowers in this.
That is pretty late. Yeah, I was like, really, we're leaving Brock Bowers out there that long?
Yeah.
I think he's really connected to Bo. I think the fact that he just got off the field playing quarterback recently certainly connects with a lot of players in that locker room. That's going to identify, he's going to know and speak that language that's going to identify with those guys. And if they can get the play calls a little earlier, so Bo has a chance to scan the field and get a sense of things, I really think that it's going to be a really good fit ultimately. But what we're noticing so far is just some more motion stuff, and they're attacking deep, but I don't know if they're going to continue to do that or if they're just testing some things out. So.
Right. Okay. We're coming up here. So we are 2 picks away, just to kind of interject a little bit. So I think, Matt, we're going with one of the 2 guys in the queue.
Yes. We'll see what Team 7 does. The second guy offers us the possibility of stacking.
We have to be a little bit secretive, right? Our 3 or 4 fans, right, that are watching, right, we have to make sure that we don't give them all of our secrets, because the guys drafting, do watch, and most of them know what they're doing, but
Are you going to go with my CSU guy?
CSU guy.
McBride.
No,
only because we went running back is why.
That would be tough for us. Tough to build.
Starting the 3 wide. I say we go Higgins and stack it.
Okay.
Yeah. So let's go with T. Higgins.
Even though drafted a ton of Jalen Waddle, so I'm hoping that injury isn't serious.
Waddle will have a big year. He's going to have a really big year.
That's what. Yeah. So that's one of the things. I've been grabbing him a lot. But it's interesting, right? Ben had said at one point, I don't know if he was with you or with Nick, that Waddle has a lot of in-game injuries.
Yeah.
That he plays in a lot of games, but he misses a lot of time. Is that? Now obviously he goes out with a little bit of a ding already. Is there any concern about his durability, Ryan, in Denver?
I mean, maybe, the quick guys, the slight build guys can sometimes be that. But, you know, at the same time, we've seen, I mean, Devontae Smith was an example of a guy coming into the league that people were like, oh, he's slightly built, he won't last. And he's turned into a really great wide receiver with the Philadelphia Eagles. So I think some of that can be true. But the Broncos really believe in their ability to keep guys healthy, despite the fact that we're dealing with something here in training camp. They really do believe in that. So I like his role. I like what I saw when he was out there early in training camp. He's going to be a heavy targeted guy. They're going to give him some opportunities to get a lot of yards after catch. And I think he could have a really special season. So, yeah, I mean, especially in a 3 wide receiver league, if he somehow gets back to you guys, that would be phenomenal. But I sort of doubt it.
Yeah.
I don't think he's making it back. But real quick, being that we're talking receivers, and Paul nailed this guy about a month ago, Pat Bryant, and now all of a sudden there's all this Pat Bryant buzz everywhere.
It's my victory lap, Ryan. I said,
let's start taking 20th round.
I go back, Ryan, to the playoff game against Buffalo. He was targeted, 4 or 5 times in the first drive? I mean, literally every ball was going to him. And, then he got hurt, which he did get banged up, at certain points last year. I said, but this guy is as tough as nails, right? He just seems like a guy you'd want to get into a street fight with and you'd be covered. He's tough. He blocks. He catches. And what has gone on, Ryan, the last couple of weeks that has now steamed him to, Sean Payton telling Kay Adams today that this guy's not coming off the field?
Yeah, I mean, he's been special. When they had everybody, he was catching everything. And, it's not ridiculous because he was kind of doing that last year. It's the reason why they moved on from Devon Bailey, is because he just showed up and it's a rookie wide receiver. You sometimes don't know what you're going to get. And he just kept kind of laying his body out there for all of these incredible plays. And, Sean points out that he usually keeps his feet in the process of that. So like he goes for the ball, but then he lands with his feet on the ground where he has an opportunity to go make a play afterwards instead of just diving out for everything. Cortland Sutton tends to leave his feet a lot, which means he doesn't get a lot of yak, but Pat Bryant has the ability to do something with it. So it's just, I mean, he made like the catch of camp on Saturday. Double covered, back corner of the end zone. Bo Nix put it in a spot that honestly, I don't know how many wide receivers could come down with it. Some of the elite guys for sure, but that would be about it. And he goes up and snatches it out of air in between traffic, in between the 2 DBs, comes down with it, somersaults. It was breathtaking, to be honest. So he's primed for a big year. I mean, he's wide receiver 3 on this team right now, which sounds like, okay, well, do you really want a wide receiver 3? Well, if we're worried about Jalen Waddle, well, then he would elevate immediately. But I could see him getting 6 or 7 targets every single game, and if that ends up being the case, then that's pretty damn solid.
Yeah, definitely.
It's funny.
I remember last summer, Peyton was calling him Michael Thomas, or referencing to that.
Yep.
So that always stuck. That was one of the things that was flashing in my mind.
So we're up here, picking.
I say Birdie. I say, I'm not worried.
Well, let's ask Ryan. Ryan, what do you? So Ryan, we're thinking. I mean, I'll mention the guys here, Matt, because they're not coming back to us. So
yes.
we're thinking Ryan Burden, Parker Washington, McLaurin, or Jamison Williams here.
Ooh, yeah, Burden's got a lot of buzz on him. I know he's dealing with a hamstring right now, so there's a little bit of a concern there. Another speedy wide receiver, but everybody keeps raving about him. I guess it's. Do you want to take a swing here on an upside play? That would be Burden, or the rock solid play would be more like JMO or McLaurin.
Yeah, Matt. I mean, we have a lot of Parker Washington right in our portfolio. We've been drafting him.
Too.
Yeah, we've been drafting him. All right, go ahead, Matt. Let's pick one.
We're just gonna go with Burden. We got 4 seconds left.
Yeah. Listen, he's got a lot of buzz on him. It's a high tempo offense. No DJ Moore. So
right. 2 guys I wanted to ask you about that have been really moved up a lot in the drafts here: Zay Flowers and Emeka Ibuka.
Yeah,
our take on them is, I think Ibuka, the Bucs were banged up last year. He was hurt. Baker was hurt. If you watch the quarterback show on Netflix, right, you see the progression of Baker Mayfield's injuries. And if you watch the beginning, how good Ibuka was before they got hurt. And Flowers, who, I think took a step up last year. Yeah. And I think this year cleared number 1 guy. What do you think about those 2 guys?
I mean, I like them both. I've had them on a multitude of teams. Abuka, I only ended up with in one league last year because sometimes I'm a little leery with rookies because sometimes there's like the unknown and excitement of that, but then there's the unknown and oh my gosh, this guy can't play, or they don't really use him as much as they could. So Jeremiah Love's an example this year where it's like, boy, the talent is undeniable, but it's Arizona and it's Nathaniel Hackett. So, but it's not to say I'm avoiding him at all costs. It's just second round is pretty rich for me. But so I had Abuka in a couple leagues. One league ended up going to the championship with him, but he kind of fell off late, which sometimes happens with the rookies. Zay Flowers, though, man, his role continues to grow, but he has some duds, right? Like he'll have a game where, like it's boom or bust. It kind of reminds me of Deshaun Jackson a bit. Where it's like he's the speedster that had, he can catch an 80-yard bomb and make your week. He can also literally not catch a single pass, and you're just going like, dude, did he play? Like, was he sick? And so, but listen, I like both for the upside swings. I would want to build some stability around him. Like I like him as like pretty rock solid wide receiver twos. But I would want something around them to know that all right, well, I got some guys as my wide receiver 3 that I know is going to get decent targets every week.
So speaking of rookie receivers, Carnell Tate went right in front of us, right?
Yeah,
he was the 4th pick in the draft. What do you think about him and the Titans? Do you think Cam Ward steps? And we won't make the joke about Cam Ward last night, right? I drafted him a little too early, and I took elephant pile of shit all day from everybody around Twitter for taking Cam Ward too early. But what do you think about Tate and Ward, and maybe where Dable can do with them?
No, and I've heard great things about him out there in Tennessee. They added, they added this offseason the receiver from the Giants.
Wandale Robinson.
Yeah, and they think they still have Calvin Ridley there. Or the ghost of Calvin Ridley, whatever's left. So, I mean, he's going to be the guy. I think for a dynasty play is probably my favorite. But, again, it's like Abuka. Like, Abuka was a gem. Like, you had him in the middle of the draft last year, and you started out, and he was red hot.
Yeah.
So, maybe you catch some fire. Again, it's a bit of the unknown. It's a big swing, but then, you spend a 4th-round pick on him, and it's a Tennessee offense, and maybe Ward does take a step back. One thing I like what the talent they've surrounded him with coaching. Like Dable's gonna do a good job with him, and the defense will be improved. I just think that the operations overall. So, like I have a dynasty league where I'm keeping Cam Ward this year. In part because it's worth the upswing, but it's also a 2 QB league. So like it's quarterbacks go so fast in that league. I almost have to.
Yeah, you kind of have to have one. Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's a question about another receiver I'm going to hold from the audience for different reasons. So camp observations, Ron. We talked about Jalen Waddle. We talked about Pat Bryant. Jonah Coleman, right? Everything we're reading is very bullish on him. How's he looking? Is he showing that he can block? Because we know, right? You got to be able to block to stay on the field in the NFL. He's built like a bowling ball, right? A very short, stout, strong guy. So what are you seeing from him? And then I want to ask you a bit about Evan Ingram.
Yeah, he's going to be really good. It's just right now the role is going to be interesting to watch. I feel like some of the best runs they've had in camp so far have been from him. Oh, Devontae, that would have been a great one if he'd have slipped to you there.
There's another Father Time receiver maybe coming to us, Ryan. So there's
we're on the clock, Paul.
All right. So you like the first guy, Matt? Oh, it kills me to pick him though.
No, we don't have to pick him.
How about
receivers in there? We could go running back here.
What do you think about another stackable option at the top of the queue, Matt? I just moved them.
I don't have any. If you want to go that route, that sets up possibilities. So I'm open to it.
I don't know. I'm torn here. Or do we go the top guy now? Just moved up.
If you want to take him again, we can go there.
Yeah, I think so. I think let's do that, and then we can maybe take an upshot flex. So we're going to go with DeAndre Swift Ryan, with the Bears. It's
Like it.
I like where he is. I think he's a little underrated, Ryan. I think people kind of don't realize how productive he is. Monungai's a little dinged up. Ben Johnson just seems like the next Sean McVay, Ryan, like a obsessed savant of football, right? And you just look at how much better that team was with him as coach last year.
I'm 100% with you. Swift was very under. I nabbed him in every league I could last year because you're talking about the guy that had Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery, and you're like, this guy, the way he's going to be able to utilize running backs out of the backfield, it's a great pick. I like him a lot. David Montgomery, I think is going to have a bigger role in Houston than he did last year. A lot of people are high on Bashal Tutin, but I love that pick because he's a starter. He gets goal line. He's active in the passing game because he's reliable pass pro. So no, that's a fantastic pick.
Okay. So back to the to the Broncos, right? Evan Ingram, right now. I'm not going to use the Joker comment, right, that we heard all the last year. It's funny, Ryan. Last year, I try to go to Denver for one game a year. My girlfriend and I go out. We went to the Raiders Thursday night game, which I couldn't have picked a worse game to go watch. And we were sitting in the first row. So sitting there, I got to meet Nick and Jake Plummer. And so, but the one thing I wanted to tell you was Evan Ingram, right? Because we're literally right behind the bench. Evan Ingram would come off the field, right, every drive and look like he swallowed poison, like he was aggravated. He was disgusted. At one point, his wife or girlfriend was sitting a few spots from us, and he kept looking at her, right, and shaking his head and going like this, right? And, you could literally see the guy was like, I don't want to – I'm trying not to curse around Ryan tonight, Ryan. I'm cleaning up my act of F-bombs.
It's okay.
But it was a lot of what the fuck moments. Like, you could just see it, right, from him. So is there something – I know he's friends with Davis Webb. You guys have pointed that out from the Giant days. Are we going to see something different out of Evan Ingram this year?
I think so. In fact, Bo kind of tipped it to us today that he's playing more inline, which means he's going to have more opportunities to be on the field. And even Bo just pointed out, like, he's a willing blocker. And like that, he quite literally told us that the guy's going to stay on the field. And part of the frustration from him last year is they just kept taking him off the field because Sean didn't believe that they could use him in line as a blocker, or anybody believed that he could be a blocker. So they have to show that he's willing to be a blocker and that they'll run plays behind him when the running game. And if they do that, then he'll stay on the field a lot more. I think that's what he's aiming for. I interviewed him about a week and a half ago, and he said it. He was upset that he did not get a chance to stay on the field more.
Yeah, I literally saw it in front of my eyes. Like, literally, it was so noticeable. Like, every time this guy came off the field, and that was the night that Crenshaw had the bad punting night. Right, I literally felt bad for the kid. You could see he looked like he was like shell shocked, and after the few punts. So that was interesting. So, right, there's actually a question. The guy was drafted now. I want to put up a question from the audience. We talked about Carnell Tate. What do you think of Jordan Tyson?
He's a phenomenal talent. The injury stuff is, what you probably worry about the most, the reason why he wasn't taken a little higher. But I think he's electric, and I'm buyer on the Saints as far as like what I think the direction that they're headed in that division. I think there's going to be a lot of points scored. It's kind of a low key, like fun division to own a piece of, own some of those very, really high scoring matchups. So, you got Olave there. Certainly they're bringing back Kamara, so some of the passing game will be interesting, but as far as I understand it, he's going to have a role early on because he's such a terrific route runner. So, I'm bullish on him. Again, I talk about rookies. Sometimes I'm a little bit more gun shy unless I get incredible value. So that'd be a little bit my thing here. Yeah.
So it's the top guy or the second guy, Paul? I didn't expect the top guy to be there.
Yeah, I know. I'd like the second guy just because of what we're doing, but we could use the first guy.
So that's really
you make the call, Matt. This is yours. No pressure, right? No pressure.
Ryan, don't have a preference here between.
I could go either way. So this is to me, they both fit the build for different reasons, right? So Ryan, while Matt's making this very important, these are the most important picks on these teams is like the 6th round, because you can go right now. We got our receivers and 2 running backs. You can go a lot of different directions. The premium tight ends are gone, right? Tyler Warren would be a consideration.
I think we take a shot here.
Okay, so Beatle, Ryan likes it. Ryan, you like the enigmatic Brian Thomas Jr.
Thumbs up.
All right, love it.
That's one of my guys. I think he's absolutely due for a bounce back season. His rookie year was sensational. Another guy that was actually a rookie that I bought up because it was my favorite wide receiver in that draft.
They put it to the Broncos last year. Like they came into Denver, right? They really they moved the ball at will on us.
Yeah, and listen, I understand on Parker Washington. Do you guys get return yards or is it just
no? You get return touchdowns though.
Yeah. Okay, well then that's why Parker Washington goes ahead. Because I was like, it's weird that Brian Thomas went 2 rounds behind Parker Washington, but it makes some sense if you get return touchdowns because he's obviously going to be part of that. So no, I like Brian Thomas, big target. You still got your quarterback there. I just think he's due for a bounce back. I'm into that one.
Our decision there, Ryan, was Joe Burrow, right? Because we got the Bengals. So the decision was, do we stack it or go with? We thought Brian Thomas is valuable. I mean, was it good at that point, right, man?
Yeah, I looked at it as, we can get this other wide receiver. Look, I love to stack, but we have other possibilities as well. And there's going to be other good quarterbacks. The quarterbacks do fall. And as of now, maybe they'll move up in the next couple of weeks. My concern is I wanted that 4th wide receiver to get a guy like Brian Thomas. I agree that he'll have the bounce back this year. It might really take off in the second half of the season because he does have a murderer's row coming up, with the cornerback matchups from like week 2. I mean, for like the first, whatever it is, 6-7 games. But yeah, I think in the league where you got to start 3, Burden is banged up right now. I'm really not worried of him missing week 1. I think he proved everything in OTAs, got off the camp, start really hot. They know what they have. They're just going to bubble wrap him. And so that was the thought process there.
So, Ryan, speaking of, I know he's only going into his second year, and I don't want to use the term enigma, but I feel like R.J. Harvey is kind of falling into this, what do we have here, right? So, last year he showed some explosiveness. I mean, you listen, you watch him run. He doesn't look like a natural running back, but he certainly can catch the ball. And now with Coleman coming in, Dobbins coming back, granted, let's see what the JK situation is. What do you think RJ Harvey's role and future with the team looks like at this stage?
They're really developing his the passing game with him. And so, Ben used it. It's not like a perfect analogy here, but kind of like Reggie Bush, right? Like the Reggie Bush role where you're talking about, he's moving around the formation. You're going to run it with him sometimes, try to get him outside, get him some space. That looks like a very natural fit for him. So as long as they feel like he checks the boxes in pass pro, then I don't know how much of a traditional running back he'll be. I think Coleman would be the next guy up more so than Jake. If JK is not available, I think RJ is going to be the guy that, he's going to do more than just hurry up because I think they want to find a way to get him on the field more than that. But he certainly will be like the third down back, the hurry up back, end of half, end of game. He might get, and especially in this offense, like he might get 7 catches a game, just, some of those dump off. You remember Bo Nix with some of those dump off passes where they let Tyler Bidet, scramble off for 15 yards, like end of game, end of half. I could see RJ Harvey being that guy. So I love him in PPR, but he's not going to be the first running. I would take JK ahead of him because JK is going to get goal line. But I think I'd take RJ, pretty close.
Ryan, are we going to see the death of the screen game that would just make us all want to jump off of short bridges? Like you just would see these screens go nowhere repeatedly and just keep going nowhere. Is that going to be a part of the offense still?
We'll see. It may not be as prevalent. I felt like they used the screen game in part to supplement the run game because they were not having, especially in the back half of the season, they just weren't having any success with it. So I think we'll see some, but I think they'll be more choosy with it rather than spamming us with it, as you're pointing out.
Yeah, because that's always, and it's funny. I want to go to there's a question coming up. I want to hold that until the guy's taken. But Ryan, one of the things we called out early in our draft season, which now I've seen a lot of people talk about, there is a ton of OC changes in the NFL, right? I think it's close to 20. And as you know, right, some of the OCs are by title, right? Nate Hackett's the OC in Arizona, but LaFleur's probably calling the plays. And I'm sure same in Buffalo, right? I'm sure Joe Brady's calling the plays, but there's an OC. But still, there's a lot of change. What do you think? I mean, you're around football every day. You're around a team. How much does it impact the offense is getting comfortable, getting going? Will it lead to some slow starts? And the fantasy owners, Ryan, week one are putting the gifs on Twitter, jumping off cliffs because
I'm sorry,
Bijan
top
Robinson,
guy, Paul. I think the top guy is
that's good with me because him or the third guy. But I know you like the top guy. So, Ryan, tell me about what you think the impact on the OC changes are.
Well, let me see what you do really quick. I'm excited to see this pick. Oh, Jaden. Okay. Yeah. Hey, man, he's dynamic. Health is always his thing, but he's dynamic.
Well, I'm curious when there's somebody else goes, Ryan, because we've been really hitting another guy in that range. And Jordan Mason as well. Oh, here we go. So we've been taking a lot of Matthew Golden, Ryan, over Reed. But again, we have a lot of Matthew Golden. What do you think of those two Packers? Before we go back to the OCs, what do you like? Do you think the Packers offense makes a step forward?
Yeah, I mean, I think so. I mean, you're thinking, without Romeo Doubs, who's going to kind of fill that void. A lot of people are taking Watson, right? That's why he went where he did. Yep. And certainly he fits the role, like he fits the build. I mean, he's always looked the part. He just can't stay healthy. I was a big buyer on Reed last year and kind of got burned by it. So, it's one of those, like, by next year I'll probably be back in on Reed. But right now I'm like, oh God, there's just too many bad memories last year where I bought in.
Are you a little more encouraged with the condensed wide receivers now? Instead of having 5 guys that were rotating, it's supposed to be mainly the 3. Maybe somebody else gets worked in. But
yeah, the problem is they're all kind of on the same level. Like that's the like with Green Bay, it's been that way for years now, right? Where they have, there's no established. Well, this is wide receiver 1, like Jamar Chase and T Higgins, who wide receiver 1 is, who wide receiver 2 is. They both can be very viable, but it'd be nice to have a pecking order. 1 week it's going to be a Christian Watson week. 1 week it's going to be a Matthew Golden week. Another week it could be a Jaden Reed week. So, but the one thing I like about Reed is his versatility in the run game. So, they'll hand him those end arounds and he gets a chance to create there. So I probably like him better than Golden. But Golden is another one of those, like, boy, he could have a breakout year without, Dobbs there. So, but it's certainly a piece of an offense that I like. Like, there's some offenses that I swear off and I'll never touch.
All right, I'm going to get there. Right, save that thought because I have I have some questions for you on that. But Ron, the OCs, talk to me about what you think. You're installing a new OC. You got a lot of change. Is the impact significant?
Yeah, I mean, it can be, right? I mean, you talked about maybe slow starts. You can go the opposite, and people don't have a lot of tape on you, so you can surprise people at the gates. Right. So we kind of seen both. I say it's always situation to situation. That's not me trying to avoid the question. It's just
Yeah, no, that's fair. I was just curious because I think there's sometimes even though there's 20, like I said, a lot of head coaches are going to call plays, so it's not really 20. But there are. I mean, look at the Broncos, right? So even though Sean Payton's there, Davis Webb might be very different and around the league. It's just from a fantasy perspective. Again, Ryan, I'm thinking from a fantasy angle. It's potentially impactful. Here's a question, Ryan, about Jadarian Price. So actually from Big Mike, my number one fan, who just so happens to be related to me as my nephew, Ron, and he's got a trademark on Big Mike for some reason. Don't ask me why.
That is amazing.
Jadarian Price. I really don't think he has a trademark, but it's kind of funny. Jadarian Price with Charbonnet, not too keen on rookies, but what do you think about Jadarian Price, Ryan?
He's a buy for me, for sure. And part of that is because that's who they want to be. And that they build through the run. I love Zach Charbonnet, and of course he'll be back at some point. But Jadarian Price, everybody's just raving about him. I'd say that because of the way they're built, they build everything from the run. which obviously, you know, is really helped out Sam Darnold, which in turn helps out Jackson Smith and Jigba. But, you know, that's just a team that's always going to lean into it, you know, one way or the other. So the reviews, I mean, everybody's saying he's phenomenal. I have a buddy that is really close to Notre Dame and said that there are some people that thought he was actually better than Jeremiah Love, which I don't know how that exactly is, but I'm saying, you know, I think for the situations, I'd rather have Jadarian Price in Seattle than I'd rather have Jeremiah Love in Arizona.
Do we want to go with the top guy? And
well, I think the second guy is premium, Matt, at this point.
Okay, I was thinking maybe you wanted to do the
but I like what the first guy brings us, right? Because we didn't do it with the last round.
That's my thought process here. That's why I was.
All right, I'd say we go. Let's say we go. So,
but if you want to, you know,
no, I think it's an offense that if you're going to take a shot at a stack, we go. We didn't take with the Burrow stack, Ryan, but we're going to try this one with the cover of Madden 27 and with Burden and Swift. You know, we're going to go Caleb Williams.
You can't see, but I'm painting my nails right now.
I mean, I like Caleb, man. He's it's a dynamic offense. You know, Ben Johnson is certainly getting the best out of him. You got a lot of weapons, and you're right. You got that little stack there with him and Swift and Burden. So really, you know, got the kind of the three-way there, but you just pay extra for that. But yeah, man, Caleb is a dude. I'd say, you know, quarterback. Is it 6 points for you guys?
Yeah, 6 points touchdown. Yeah.
Okay, then yeah, that makes sense. If it was 4, then I'd probably wait a little longer.
Well, I was thinking about Kraft there, right? So the two guys we're debating was Kraft. I thought Kraft is it's a nice tight end. We could have potentially threw a Love pick down further and had a little bit of a Green Bay stack. But the Bears are a team you want, right? I mean, that's just one of the offenses that you want to be in on.
Yeah, in that division is another one where it's, you know, you're talking about playing with Detroit, you know, in the same division as Detroit, playing the same division with Green Bay, and you know, you're just all these high scoring Vikings have had good defenses, but you know, everybody knows you have to score a lot of points in that division. So again, it's like one of those, you know, groups where it's like it's good to have pieces of that, and you have one of the best quarterbacks in that division.
And I'm really not a Caleb fan in like real life. Like he makes the most amazing throw, but his consistency, his accuracy, leaves a lot to be desired. But again, I'm hoping he makes the step up. I think they have the weapons. So, and what really impressed me last year was his rushing ability and his speed.
Yeah.
His speed did surprise me.
Yeah, you're right though. But he has some games. This isn't best ball, right? You set your line.
No, we got to set our lineups.
Okay. Yeah. No, it's about right for his ADP too.
And from a fab perspective, Ryan, if Fabs run Wednesday and Saturday night, you get, 1,000, call it points, dollars, but it doesn't really, it's not really dollars, but you get 1,000 units to spend on the team for the year. So you got to be very smart with your fab.
No $0 bids too.
Yeah, no $0 bids. Last year, right, people picked Matt Stafford up off of waivers, right? Because he wasn't. Yeah. Nobody thought he was doing.
Everybody was scared of Matt Stafford entering the season.
Right.
Back injury. Yeah.
Yeah, and he, remember that he was like, "Oh, his back. Everyone was wondering if he was going to play." That he right into it. But Ryan, that leads me to my next question, and I want to ask you about who do you avoid? I have a big thing. Ryan, it kills me to select any Jets. Matt and I were going at it. Garrett Wilson, Ryan, if he was in Cincinnati, be a first-round pick, right? But talk to me about, do you avoid Arizona? God, I heard Ben the other night, Ryan. Ben is certainly let you know how he feels. He's like, the Dolphins are going to stink, the Jets are going to stink, the Cardinals are going to stink. He goes, why do you want to play on a team that's going to stink and the players don't give a
Arizona stunk last year. I mean, look at the Jets. Garrett Wilson was going off with a horrible guy, with a quarterback that couldn't even throw a forward pass. So, that's the counter.
So what do you think, Ryan, about these teams that are going to stink? I think the Dolphins are the exception because they're going to stink and they don't really have a lot of fantasy relevant guys outside of HN, right? But what do you think about these guys on these absolutely teams that are just going to suck for the most part?
Yeah, the Jets are an example of that for me too. As much as I the talent of Garrett Wilson is undeniable, but for where his ADP is, it's too much risk. And especially you think about really bad teams, and as they get, I know that they don't believe in tanking, but let's be honest, if you're the Jets and you might get the number 1 pick, Garrett Wilson, I think you stubbed your toe. No, I didn't. No, seriously. So that's where I hate to buy it. Breece Hall is interesting because they just paid him. But they're not committed to this coach, long term. They're going to have a top 3 pick. They're going to want to get a quarterback in there, and so they're in that conversation. Arizona, as I mentioned, not really buying a lot of what they're doing, except for Trey McBride, which even then there's some risk there because it's Nathaniel Hackett. He comes back to that, and then Miami. You're right. Achan's probably, although there's some love for our former tight end here.
Oh, right.
Ryan,
people were telling me, they said to me, Paul, I taught you who Dulcich was. I'm like, I'm a Bronco fan. You didn't teach me who Dulcich was.
I like UCLA football. I mean, it's been god awful, but he was really good in college too. He's been a good receiver.
I was so fired up after that pick. They didn't get McBride, but I knew I was like, Dulcich was a stud at UCLA.
I think we got to go Kittle here. I think that's the play. Guy's looking pretty good. He's dynamic, and it solves the tight end. But I know you have your reservations with San Francisco. I think he's clearing away the best player. I mean, if you're willing to take Kraft there, coming off the, injury, Kittle's running, doing drills. What other tight end's going to give you 20-point plus weeks?
Ryan, did any of the former Niners tell you that power plant gives them a hard time?
Well, come up with a backup.
There's some risk. He's 100 years old, but he's a stud.
Yeah, on a team that may need somebody to throw the ball to, which is
everybody else is going down if he's there.
Yeah. No, I like that pick. It's probably the end of an end of a tier of tight ends for you. So,
yeah, at this point, for sure. Who's that, right?
I guess unless you wanted to go Travis Kelce, that would have been the other probably in that range.
We're in the Jurassic Park, right? We felt like which extinct species do we want to take? Did he really? Was he really that fat, or was that an AI picture in camp?
I mean, I've heard. I don't know.
Or was it both?
Yeah, I don't know because I know the freshman 15 they talk about, and this guy just got married. That's he packed it up pretty quick.
Talk about a lottery ticket. I mean, God, how do you pull Taylor Swift? I mean, I don't know if I wouldn't even risk, Ryan, a concussion if I married Taylor Swift. I'd be like, you know what? I'm gone. Game over. Move on. Your life is set. You have the zero worries. I know you love the game, and he's a great athlete. I actually used to work with a guy, Ryan, that grew up with him in Cleveland and said he's actually a great dude and real down to earth. But, man, you just hit the lottery. I'd be like, goodbye. I'm done.
That's what I try to tell Dave. I don't know if you ever heard us talking about it. I was like, I'd be a kept man. I wouldn't want anything for the rest of my life. Where do you want me to be? You may carry your purse. I don't even care. She's a billionaire with a B. She has a private jet. I mean, for God's sake, man. You made a lot of money too, but
she's different level, right? Yeah, she's got more money than a lot of small countries in the Caribbean. I mean, that's how wealthy she is. It's pretty crazy.
First class touring the world. What are we doing? You want to go out there and get hit in the head? Are you? What?
Right. My daughter is 16, going on 17. Is a big Swiftie. Are any of your girls Swifties?
You know what? They are not.
Okay.
I they had a lot of friends that were, and I kept expecting it to be a thing, but it almost did the opposite because those friends, they were all middle school friends, and then you know how middle school friendships can be like.
That's the turning point. That's a turning point for a girl.
Yeah,
middle school is like double A if you're a baseball player, Ryan. Either you hit the big leagues or you're going to be kept down the rest of your life.
That's 100% right, Paul. So it was one of those oh well, they like it. I hate Taylor now. I'm like, okay. whatever.
The music's awful. Every time she's in my car, she puts it on. I'm just like, I want to drive off the road. I said, but I'm your father. I said, I have 3 kids. I can't do this to you or me, but the music's just awful. I cannot even, I can't bear it. But, right, with 2 more things on the Broncos, right? So Dobbins, obviously, Sean Payton said he's going to be okay today. Clearly, you got to be concerned, right? This poor guy who seems like a good dude, right? You guys have said that he's well-liked. He's a leader, seems like a real team player. But, God, I really hope he's not hurt. But you got to be concerned after him going out today.
Yeah, just because he's had so many injuries, right? Soft tissue, just a lot of just freak injuries. But, you're right. The hope is that, I guess Stribling didn't go there. I thought that was a little early for him.
Yeah, there was we could see in the draft run, they kind of, if you make a mistake and you within like a second or 2, you can contact the admin and then they stop it and you fix it. You can't, like 6 picks from now, you can say, oh, gee, I really forgot to take this guy. They tell you
once somebody's off the board, though.
You're kind of done.
But yeah, I think he'll be okay. Look, man, he pinky sweared all of us that he was going to be okay this year. So, I take pinky swears seriously.
Yeah, that's well. Is that a New Mexico thing, Ryan? With the pinky swears seriously?
Yeah.
Here in New York, they wear pinky rings, and those usually aren't the guys you want to be next door neighbors with.
Probably not. That and turquoise. For us in New Mexico.
So, Maddie, we're up in a couple of picks. What are you thinking here?
We're next. We could either double up the last position or hit the RBs, I would think.
You know what? Do we want to? Well, actually, I think. How about the first guy? Now that I just put up.
Yeah. I mean, I'm fine with him. You might want to ask our guest.
Yeah. So Ryan, where are we up?
We're at 40 seconds.
So this is Jonah Coleman time maybe for us, right? We need another running back. Obviously, if Dobbins is hurt or not, what do you think of us taking him here?
Yeah, I like Coleman. Yeah, I like him. I think he's going to get some goal line this year. So, and it's
that's all Paul had to hear. Once he said, "I think he's going to get some goal line." Paul, I was telling you, I'm a fan. I'm a fan. It's college.
Yeah. No, it's. I mean, at this point here, even if he just is a handcuff, he'll get mixed in on game days. But you got your starting 2 running backs, so you're looking for some upside swings, and he's one of the best ones as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, at this point, there's a question. Do you guys think of T3 taking Allen and Hurts as their quarterback? I don't like it. I mean, you got Josh Allen. You're not going to bench him unless he gets hit by a bus or something happens.
Paul, when you draft Josh Allen, your backup should be Cam Ward.
Yeah, at least. No, I would think Fernando Mendoza should be your backup if you have him. So I
do have a question though. I have a question for Ryan. Like Jonah Coleman, I remember last year with Trevion in college, he was a really good pass blocker, and I know Jonah Coleman in college was a really good pass blocker.
Really good.
Has that been translating in practices and stuff?
It has. Yeah, he's looked good. Yeah, he's looked really good, and they use him in a multitude of ways. They use him catching out of the backfield. They use him running between the tackles. Right. He looks like a 3-down back, honestly. Awesome. Like he's been one of the more impressive backs. But, again, he's got guys ahead of him. So you might need an injury to really, from a fantasy perspective, get a lot out of him. But yeah, I think the talent's there for sure.
Right. There's another guy that, he's done nothing but make clutch plays for this franchise the last couple of years. I know you guys talk about he's coming up on a contract. Marvin Mims.
Yeah.
Right. I don't know if he, maybe stole Sean Payton's lunch money or something, but Sean Payton drafted him, didn't he? But you just when he's on the field, he's made such big plays for this team the past 2 years. Why can't he make the next step to become why isn't he wide receiver 3? I'm not saying that he's better or worse than Pat Bryant, but he's done some incredible things for this team, but just doesn't seem to be able to stick in a regular role on the offense.
Yeah, it's a bit of a mystery for us too. I mean, I don't think we ever have gotten a straight answer. Most of the time, Sean or even Joe Lombardi last year, would just say, well, we went into the game with a plan to get him the ball, and it just never happened. I'm like, all season like that?
Yeah.
But my belief is that he's so valuable as a returner because he counts as two players for him, really.
Right.
He's so valuable as a returner that they somewhat want to limit the wear and tear on him on offense. Like, that's my view on it. So they maybe don't want to say that because they know it'll upset him because he wants more offense, right? He wants to be out there. But my take on it is like, boy, you're so special as a returner. Let's just, have you highly focused on that, and then we'll sparingly use you in some gadget stuff. I think that's my view on it.
Do you think they re-sign him, right?
I don't know. If they move on from court, then maybe. But that's that's kind of the discussion right now. But the fact that he counts as two players for you, and you can pay one player, that's pretty good.
All right. So Ryan, we're up here. We're thinking.
I think it's one of the top two guys.
Yeah, I think we could go another running back here. Right, here's another guy. Right,
so let's go with two then. I'm fine with that.
Another guy that we think we'll see some goal line touches on an offense that we're very bullish on Jacksonville. Right, what do you think of the Jacksonville offense and Rodriguez's role?
No, that's a good pick. They wanted to go bargain bin shopping because they were playing the compensatory pick game. So it's honestly, that's a guy that we wanted here in Denver. I wondered, if the Broncos were going to go, if they didn't get JK, and even if they did get, getting JK, I'd still have brought Chris Rodriguez in here. Now you eventually got Jonah Coleman, so you're good. But I've been a fan of his since he came into the league. I've always thought he was, underutilized a bit there in Washington. So I certainly like the upgrade on team for him and Noah Etienne there. So I know people are high,
And doesn't he have history with Liam Cohen in college? I think he played for Liam Cohen
Kentucky.
in college.
He played for him at Kentucky.
There you go.
Yeah, powerhouse Kentucky Wildcats.
The GM called him a superhero, but I'm a toot and truther. I think the thing right now is they don't really know what they have in Tootin.
Yeah.
So they're just playing it out. Like, can I ask you a question? Like in camp, like now, they're doing some installs and plays, and guys got to play in games. Not the number one starters exactly. How should we read it? Like, is it just like I'm not saying the question how I want to ask it. I apologize for that.
Okay.
I'm trying to interpret what's the best way to read these reports I get. It's kind of like.
Yeah. I mean,
it's not an easy question.
The problem with camp reports sometimes is so much of it is scripted.
Mm-hmm.
So like, a big day for a guy could be the plan, right? Like we just don't know, and we'll never know. We're just reacting to what we see. There's still compete moments. So like us talking about Pat Bryant, there's compete moments, and he wins those compete moments. Like it's him, it's Riley Moss, it's him, it's Jaquan. Like he wins that. So if he wins those moments and he keeps winning it, you think that'll translate because that confidence translates, especially the quarterback and the receiver confidence. So I would take it as like, all right, man, that he's finding some rhythm with the quarterback, or he's seeing the field a certain way. Like Pat Bryant had some success last year, and we saw some of that in training camp. Troy Franklin also saw some success last year, and we saw that in training camp. So it can relate one-to-one, and there are some times where it doesn't. But I'd say that it's always just information. Like you think about it from you're painting a picture, like, or I don't know, it's a bad analogy, but you're trying to find all the information you can. You just file it away as like, all right, the local beat out there is seeing something with this guy. Keep that in mind. That's kind of how I do it.
Mm-hmm. Now I have one other question. We'll go back to Pat Bryant. Being that we're kind of dedicating the show to Patty Ice in your honor.
Yeah.
I remember last year, like Troy Franklin was a guy right before the season starts. We have one waiver run, and I was bidding on him everywhere to try and get him. Out of that 1,000, I was putting like $50-$60, and there were games where he was pretty much like, it seemed like the focal point. He was out targeting Sutton. So is it a possibility? Not that is it a possibility. What are the chances that Pat Bryant does that to Courtland Sutton this year?
I wouldn't be stunned by it. I don't know if it's consistently over the course of the season, but there definitely will be games where Pat Bryant is a heavy focal point of the offense. And remember, this is an offense that threw the ball more than any other offense last year. I know that they want to run the ball, but teams say that, and then they go back to being what they are. So Pat Bryant's going to be very busy this year. So, if he's out there for a little while longer, you may want to consider taking a dart throw there.
I mean, Ben looked like you became his agent today, Ryan, with that big post about Pat Bryant flashing. I kind of took my whole screen over. Matty, we're up.
I think we stay on brand and go with the top guy, the Chargers wide receiver 2.
Yeah, so Ryan, this is our Chargers wide receiver 2. We have some friends that have been drafting Quentin Johnston like he's just been anointed from the Lord himself. We love Trey Harris at this stage. What do you think? Well, Ryan, I want to ask you about our division, right? So the Broncos division, let's start from the bottom up, right? So the Raiders obviously would be the bottom team. What's kind of the feel about them this year? I mean, we think they'll take a step forward, obviously. I do like who they got as coach now, right? I think they finally got a good coach. I think it's under discussed how awful Carroll and Chip Kelly were last year. And I mean, that team was just dysfunctional Raiders. And I would think with Tom Brady at least hanging around the building, they wouldn't do something as stupid as that. But they really went backwards. But I really listen, Ryan, you're from the area. Kubiak is a legend, right? His son just seems to get it. So what are you thinking? What's the feel on the Raiders right now?
I mean, it's a little bit of wait and see. They really like Cousins to start, and I mean that makes some sense. I think that from a fantasy perspective, probably eliminates some of the variance that we might have seen on a rookie quarterback. Even though Mendoza, is pretty highly thought of, if Kirk Cousins is throwing to Brock Bowers, it might help the run game too as well with Ashton Genty. So I'd say more competency first of all. So we'll see that. And then, I still think I put the Chargers next. I do like Mike McDaniel a lot, and I think that's going to do a lot for the running game. And certainly it's supposed to do a lot for Justin Herbert, but we'll see. I like Trey Harris. I do like Trey Harris. It's a weird deal because it's just like you just mentioned, like you have a certain expectation that Ladd McConkey could probably have a bounce back year. Quentin Johnston kind of came out, even though he's a first rounder, he kind of came out of nowhere last year. But a new OC, what does that mean? Like, what does that translate to? So
did you hear his take today, Ryan, where he said he'll go with the hot hand at running back?
Oh, I did not hear that.
Yeah, so he said that, and he even mentioned all of us fantasy nerds and said, just I'm going to disappoint all you fantasy guys that I'm going to go with the hot hand. Now, I look at it this way, right?
I call bullshit.
Right, Marion Hampton's the best player you got in the backfield, even though Keaton Mitchell people do like. But Keaton Mitchell, again, has struggled to stay on the field his whole career. If Hampton's your best guy, he should be the hottest. But I don't know. The Chargers are kind of like, to me, Ryan, the better version of the Jets, that they always just something seems to happen. Granted, as a Bronco fan, I'm happy, but every year just something goes wrong. Right? Yeah. It's, wish it upon anybody, but you can look back and say, oh, Jesus, what happened to the Chargers? And this guy gets hurt, that guy gets hurt, this happens, that happens, and like without fail.
Every year. And so, but from a fantasy perspective, Justin Herbert's been pretty solid. So yeah, I mean, Marion Hampton, first round, second round for sure. Probably second round. Keaton Mitchell's a good handcuff. You certainly think there's room for a running back that can catch passes out of the backfield like Mitchell can. He's shown the ability to be pretty dynamic. So I like him as a kind of in this range down here. But I just when you got a new OC, you asked me the question earlier, like what's that look like? When the early parts of the season, it's like it's a little bit of a we'll see. Even Oronde Gaston I like a lot. Is he a focal point? He was a focal point last year. But now you got a new OC. Is he going to be a focal point this year? He may even go to another level. I don't know. But like those are the kinds of questions I have when it's a team like that. But because it's Harbaugh, that the run game is always going to be a factor. And Mike McDaniel is a run game guru. So that's why I probably invest in the running backs first.
How about with some of these teams, Ryan, is it like Sean Payton, obviously the head coach of the Broncos, called the plays last year? Does he literally leave the defense entirely to Vance Joseph? Like, is Vance Joseph essentially making every call in every situation? Like, how does it really work on the sideline when you have these coaches that are dominant, like a Robert Saleh, right? He's all defense, no offense. Do these guys literally just let the OC call the game and stay out of it, or do they jump in at certain points? Like, how does that actually work in a game?
Yeah, for the most part, it's Vance Joseph's. Let's see what you guys do here.
Yeah,
I think it's the second guy, or we go with a backup position. I mean, we're gonna have to talk.
Yeah, I don't have any of the second guy, man. I think he's in a position to play quickly, right? We like guys like that. The fourth guy, I think it's early. I'd love to.
No.
Yeah, it's early for him.
I would take the third guy over him. We were going way too early on that. We'll go with the second guy.
Yeah, let's go with the second guy.
Okay, so we're going with Tank, right?
Yeah. So right, we like running backs that are. I mean, you don't root for injuries, Roy, but there's some guys that are one situation away from playing, and he to us ranks in that spot, right, behind Barkley.
Yeah.
I mean, look at our three running backs. We got Coleman, Rodriguez, and Bigsby. So I think three nice contingent plays.
Oh, yeah. For sure. And an offense that should be better running the ball this year than they were last year.
Yeah, that team worries me a little bit, though, right? I just, they're on another OC. Speaking of OC changes, right? You got Sean Mannion. I don't think he's ever called plays, right? That team is at a crossroads. If they have a terrible year, the coach is gone. I don't think he survives. Right. And, we got Uncle Vic making his meatballs and growing his tomatoes, still running the defense. Yeah, I'm surprised he never coached in this town, Ryan, with his pedigree. But that team, they're very interesting. I've read some things, Ryan. Mekhi Lemon doesn't seem to be taking foot, whether he's hurt or they don't like him so far. I feel like there's a lot of risk in Philadelphia outside of, you got Devontae, you got Goddard, who's still effective. The reports out of camp is Stowers hasn't figured anything out yet. So I wouldn't be shocked if that team has a rough year.
Yeah, you just don't know. Like I said, that one specifically, there's a lot of worry that Jalen Hurts is kind of, peaked, topped out. So I don't know. I mean, there's still a lot of talent there, but when we've seen uneven from them, it's like bottom level stuff, right? Yeah. So, I mean, I still believe in Saquon, as far as for fantasy, I still draft him pretty high, but there's you gotta take a pause a little bit on some of the other weapons. Mekhi Lemon, I'm a big fan of, but once again, rookies can be a little weird, and especially Jalen Hurts in that passing game. I don't know. It's another offense that I would probably pause on.
Yeah.
I think Lemon will be very good eventually.
Yeah,
especially with the injury now, and he may be one of those guys like a Casey Concepcion I can see popping in the second half. Like when the rookie receivers have that late season run. Because Lemon he is really good too. But I'm with you. I haven't been drafting him, and especially with the injury right now. But it is a very talented player.
So, Ryan, how's Shelby Harris enjoying New York so far?
It looks like he's having a good time. They believe they're going to be a team this year. I don't, but they do, and so yeah, he's having a good time. I mean, this is his last year. He's gonna go out there and it's a pretty wide open division. So as we were just talking about, so I hope he has
beautiful.
I hope he has a lot of fun.
Right, I could email you a great Italian restaurant that's something out of like a mob movie that he should go eat at, not far from where they practice.
All right,
it's like the tablecloths are red and white checkerboards. It's you walk in there and you literally feel like Tony Soprano is going to bring you a coffee. Nice. I'll email it to you. We can tell him to go.
Yeah.
He'll love it.
Yeah.
So Matt, we're up at another pick. You think we?
There's a guy. Don't even look at the queue. If the guy's here, I'm just picking him. I'm just going to tell you that right now. This is the guy. I'm hoping he's there. I think he should be there, but We got another one. Yeah, we're up now, right?
Yeah,
we go Tyler Shuck. We get our backup. I
Yeah.
think I love this up as an upswing offense.
Kellen Moore seems to get it, Ryan. Right? He looked like that team had very little to no expectations last year. They looked very competent as the season went on offense.
Absolutely, yeah. And like I told you guys earlier, like I'm buying pieces of that division because it's just it kind of gets overlooked, I think, sometimes, and I just think there's a lot of talent to mine there, a lot of fantasy talent to mine there. So no, I like that pick. I mean, he's bit of an upside swing. There'll be some matchups. I mean, you're going to go Caleb Williams all year, right? Like, you're just going to. But there might be a couple of matchups where you're just like, man, the over/under is a 55, 55 points.
And also, if we do make it to the fantasy playoffs, if Chicago is, crazy winds or snows, the Saints have one of the, that playoff schedule is crazy.
Right.
It's like Arizona, Atlanta, in domes.
In domes, right. No, that's a great point. It's a great point. The dome, the climate control is a big deal on that. So that's a great point. Yeah, and if the Bears are playing, a game that's going to be kind of a slog it out, against the Packers, where it's going to be a lot of the run game for both teams, then, yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Right. So you don't think the Giants are a thing this year? Why do you think that?
Well, first, I don't even know if they're going to stay healthy. Cam Scadaboo is, one bad decision away from never playing football ever again. Malik Neighbors, I know that they're saying he's going to be available for the beginning of the season. We'll see how close to 100% that is. Jackson Dart also takes some pretty heavy risks running around. So that's just the offense. And then, and they lost Wandale, who I actually thought was, pretty damn valuable for what they did. I mean, I understand, you can't keep everybody, but like, I don't know. I would have tried to keep that dude. But anyways, and the defensively losing Dexter Lawrence, trading Dexter Lawrence, that's a big deal. I mean, they still got the guys, they still got Shelby, but I just think it's a team that, like, with John Harbaugh, there'll be a competency improvement of their processes, but there's a lot of immaturity. It's still around that building, it seems like. And that's not something Shelby said. It's just, an observation of my things. And because of that, I just think that they don't necessarily have the right guys just yet. But, we'll see. I mean, things change every year in the NFL, right? I mean, that's why it's fun to watch.
Speaking of places Shelby's been, Ryan, the Browns.
Yeah, it's another offense I don't buy much.
Yeah.
We were taking them here.
I had the cue. I was just Ryan, I think the fact that we have someone as famous as you are now and he's in the background, I mean, we've been talking about him for a couple of weeks. It had to happen.
I mean, Terrence Ferguson, we did a show dedicated to him, and he was going back in like the 18th round. Now he went in the 11th round tonight. So.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, we're like market makers, Ryan. We move shares of players around the board. If you can believe
bummed.
it.
That's a bummer.
But Ryan, in Cleveland, I mean, obviously, you know Shador very well, right? From I'm shocked Deshaun Watson still even has gets a paycheck in this league, right? Okay. But he's going to probably start. What do you? I mean, do you think there's any light at the end of the tunnel in Cleveland? I mean, I think Ben has talked about Monken being a one and done, right? Yeah. Ben talks constantly about. By the way, we have Ben coming on next Sunday. Hopefully, Ben can still make it, and Ben will be great. We'll talk about stuff. But is there any light in Cleveland, Ryan?
I guess the light would be that they're going to have the first overall pick, maybe.
You think Arch would go play in Cleveland?
We're up, Paul. Do you want to go with the top guy or hit the tight end position or push the tight end? I'm fine pushing if you want.
I like the tight end. I like the top guy.
Okay, I'll take him then.
Aaron Jones said today, Ryan, this guy is special. And I don't necessarily love Aaron Jones we think is, as a term people use around here, is dust. Jordan Mason looks good. But again, not exactly Cal Ripken in terms of durability. So Claiborne is someone that we've been drafting.
I'm interested to see who your tight end is.
There's a couple of guys we have to.
Okay.
We had a couple of chances, but things weighed out. And I still think Kittle. I wasn't drafting him until this past week. I've been getting really encouraged watching it. And, like where he went, I thought was a no-brainer. Would I like to double that up? Yes, but we don't always get what we want in these.
Yeah, right. I mean, I think, we in all the builds that we do, you're typically, you have a plan. Like we literally will plan, right, every slot, right? We kind of know the way the board falls. And we'll put a plan together. Matt and I will text and say, let's do this, do that. But then, when value falls to you, you got to be smart and take it. But you can't screw up the integrity of what you want to do. Like if we would have went McBride earlier, that would have really hurt us to get the receivers, because then we'd have one, running back, receiver, tight end. It makes it a little bit tougher. Not impossible. It just makes the construction of the team a little bit more challenging. So in this case, I thought, and Matt and I, we thought there was good value with the running backs, Coleman, Rodriguez. We love Trey Harris there. And Bigsby, again, he's in a good position potentially to play. But, I'd rather the upshot with Bigsby versus backing up Kittle with a Brenton Strange, right? Is that really going to change our lives that much?
Exactly.
Well, I mean, it's like any other, backup player, right? I mean, you're right as far as the swing goes. You'd rather have Bigsby there. But, Kittle's got to play a whole season, and if he doesn't, then what are your options at tight end? And this is such a deep league. I can't imagine waivers are going to be very kind.
No, waivers are tough. You get the whole key. Yeah. You got to try and be like a week or two ahead if you can. And as difficult as that is,
Yeah.
Ryan, if you sell subscriptions to your crystal ball, we might want to sign up. So you might want to make that available. And, we could Venmo you. Ryan, we talked less about the Chiefs, right? To wrap up the division. Listen, I was talking to someone about the Broncos versus the Chiefs today. That the Chiefs are 3.5 point favorite, Ryan, on opening night. And since Sean Payton's come in, the Broncos should have beaten the Chiefs all 4 times, right? That loss when Lutz missed that field goal, man, that was that brought me back to some tough losses. But I am shocked, right, that the Broncos, they really played their asses off that football game. I'm not seeing it with the Chiefs this year. I see the Chargers, the competition. What's kind of your feeling with the Chiefs?
Yeah, I mean, starts with the health of Mahomes, for everything. I'm not a big buyer on. I mean, we talked about Kenneth Walker earlier. I'm a little, reluctant to buy too deep into them. I mean, I think Rashee Rice, certainly is still pretty, rich for me in the second round. I think I'd probably take the third. All right, let me see what you do here first.
I think for me, it's Greg Dulcich.
There you go.
We got the backup.
We need some hair on this team. I think he also raises our hair level between him and Kittle. We probably have the best hair tight end. Yeah, let's go with Dulcich. Yeah, I think we needed that.
Yeah,
that's right. We look at Dulcich. He's potentially top target in Miami.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, it's a bad offense, but they have to throw the ball, and
at some point,
yeah, and they're gonna get punked, and you just sort of think they know they're not great this year, but they still want to show competency so the coaching staff can come back next year. HN, Dulcich, kind of two of the guys that I would buy. Honestly, it's bad offense, but it's still productive for fantasy. That's all.
Well, I was seeing something on Twitter today about, Jalen Tolbert's there. I said, God Almighty, if you're talking about Jalen Tolbert as even an option, right? That's like when I like to give Ben shit. I always send a message in about Jeff Driscoll. If I want to make a joke, I'd say that sounds like a Jeff Driscoll situation.
Yeah,
these are the guys that were playing for us at some point. Were pretty bad. I think so. Ryan, talk a bit about, because we're getting close to the end here, and you've been, in case you want to go, you do so much great content on Sundays with Ben, right? I mean, I try to listen, and sometimes on Sundays I'm running around, but tell everybody about the shows you do, because I really think people can learn about you guys pick games against the spread, fantasy. Talk to people about what your Sunday, show lineup looks like.
Yeah, I appreciate it. So Sunday morning we start out at 9 a.m. Mountain, so that'd be 11 a.m. Eastern, with a NFL betting show. So you're right, we pick against the spread, and we just kind of go through the games. We talk about the relevant information. Ben gives sort of his inside perspective on guys that he knows are going to play or not play, or what he's hearing about certain games. So we kind of we talk about it from like the perspective of like, all right, well, this is what we like. And then, then Ben gives us a little bit more of like, all right, well, this is where it started. This is where it's going. And this is why, and this is what I'm hearing. And usually there's, some good stuff out of that. And then he does like a parlay, the day, that type of stuff. And then the next hour we do a fantasy show, where we take a lot of, questions like via the text line and Twitter and stuff like that. And we just we talk about the matchups. I do a lot of daily, that's a little bit more my domain. So I do a lot of daily fantasy stuff during that hour. And so we just, my favorite lineups, my favorite stacks, stuff that I'm building around, the guys they kind of have to have in your lineups, that type of stuff. So, and we do that. And then usually about an hour after that, I do Countdown to Kickoff, which is the 2-hour show before the Broncos game. And then I'm on for 3 to 5 to 6 hours after the Broncos game. So Sundays are a haul.
Yeah. Well, what time do you start your Sundays, Ryan?
I'm usually there around 8 a.m. Mountain, and I usually leave around 9:30 p.m.
Yeah, that's a long day, depending how the game goes, right? I can't.
Yeah.
But sometimes I'll put that post game show on, and you get all kinds of people calling, and it's just Ryan just handles every question, Matt, like with class. Like you'll get somebody just crying about some call versus somebody with the worst take in the world, and Ryan just handles it.
He's a professional.
Yeah, really. But yeah, I really, like I say, right, in New York, right, radio here has become unlistenable. I mean, I grew up in the Mike and the Mad Dog days, which they were entertaining. They weren't in. Francesa thought he was, Bill Parcells, right?
He was called
the Pope. but they were entertaining, right?
Paul, before you go further, we're up. Do you want to go with the defense? Do you want your namesakes here?
Yes, Ryan. I mean, but I actually do want to ask Ryan about them because we haven't talked about them. But Ryan, what's the defense? I mean, listen, this was our bread and butter, right, for the Broncos last year. How are things looking? Any players sticking out to you that I know Wazirike I've been reading a lot about, right? Taking over for JFM. What are you seeing on defense? I mean, listen, we know it's going to be good, but what's standing out to you?
Yeah, I mean, they might even be better than last year. Listen, I know losing JFM, I mean, he's really the only player that they lost. And Ineoma Wazirike has been sensational. They keep saying, well, he can't be blocked. And honestly, there are some practices I agree. So he's been great. They drafted Tyler Onyedem in the 3rd round. They have Savion Jones from last year that they really believe in. Jordan Jackson's another guy that they'll rotate in there, but they just have a lot of defensive line depth. And that's where it all starts. They're developing some really nice young rookies at inside linebacker that may not make a big impact this year, but I think going to the future will be really interesting. Red Murdoch, for example, has been phenomenal. And then the secondary is elite. So, I mean, like top to bottom, and they got crazy depth at cornerback, which like no team can say. No team in the NFL can say they have crazy depth at cornerback, but the Broncos can.
I kind of have like a love-hate with Riley Moss, Ryan. I mean, I mean, you see, he's going to get picked on because he's playing across from the best corner in football. And there's just a lot going on, right? Like he's really on, they're going at him and he makes some great plays. He does some things to get some penalties. He seems like a good kid that really plays his ass off, right? What do you think of Riley Moss?
I like Riley Moss. I think I like his mindset. I like his temperament. And you're right, he plays his ass off. I think he gets a reputation because he can be a little bit physical and grabby, right?
Yeah.
But he's got to work on that technique. But he's in phase, and he has such a short memory. You know, in a quarterback, you got to be like that. You got to be a mindset like, hey, man, that last play, it's gone. Nothing we can do about it. On to the next play.
Like a closer in baseball, Ryan. You got to forget the day and go in. How about Jahdae Barron, Ryan? I mean, we spent a high pick on this guy. You know, what are we thinking? You know, how's he looking in terms of? You got Jalen McMillan, who's probably one of the best corner slots in the NFL.
I'm sorry, Paul. We are up. I would be 1 or 2 for me here.
Number one, Matt. Number one.
Right. That's what I thought. There you go.
We'll get Ryan just before we go back to the defense. Ryan, the Mike Evans future, Ted Hurst.
Nice. I like Ted Hurst.
But with Jahdae, Ryan, I'm not the type of person. Oh, he's a boss after that. But what are we thinking he's going to contribute? He was on the field last year, Ryan, for big plays. You watch big Bronco games. Yeah. Jahdae Barron was out there at the end of the game, so it wasn't like this kid wasn't playing. But how's he looking so far?
He looks good, man. He's in rotation. They've been getting him some outside work, some nickel, some dime. I think he's just going to be a rotational guy. They'll use him in some packages. The thing is like, they drafted him in the first round the year after both Riley Moss and Jaquan McMillan were hurt, right? So both those guys struggled they struggled down the stretch, and the Broncos were like, we're just not going to go into next year thin at this position. So they invested in a high pick there. And then lo and behold, both Riley Moss and Jaquan McMillan like balled out of control. Like they both came to camp. Yeah. They both were studs. And then it's like, all right, well, I guess this is what we're doing. Like what are we supposed to do? Like bench these guys because they showed up and they took the motivation and they roll with it. So I think with Jahdae, because you have some decisions to make with Riley Moss and Jaquan McMillan and Brandon Jones. So probably not bringing back everybody. So I think, you just continue to work him in, get him some opportunities. If you have an injury, he's going to play a lot more. Just accept you have great depth right now. And, maybe some of these things will work its way out.
All right. How about I feel bad. I obviously don't know the kid, Drew Sanders, Ryan. He just seems to have the worst luck, right? Is there any glimpse of potential contribution from him this year?
I don't know. He probably, he's healthy right now. So, we'll see. But I'd say for Drew Sanders, the most likely scenario is if there is an injury or if Jonathan Cooper gets suspended, that's probably his best path to making the roster. Otherwise, it might be kind of the end for Drew Sanders, just sort of like, too little, too late, kind of deal. And again, talent is there. Just, he's been moved around. He's been hurt. It's just been hard to kind of keep him on the field and keep him in a role that makes sense for him. So as we sit here right now, I'd say he's a bubble guy, and that's tough.
And you talk about the importance of preseason to people, right, Ryan, whose careers are on the line. I feel like he needs a huge preseason to play somewhere. Even if it's not in Denver, he needs to put tape together to play somewhere else.
I agree.
All right, so we're here. Well, we got our defense. Kicker we wait last.
Got to do that.
Considering our tight end room, do we add another one?
Yeah, I was looking to take Barner, get the free look there, but unfortunately he went off. He just went. So that
that would have been good.
We played the chicken.
I like this. I like the top guy.
You want to go with your boy,
or
you want with the Denver tight end, Evan Ingram? Take a shot there.
So Ryan, would you Gunnar Helm from or Evan Ingram?
Ooh, boy, I like Helm a lot. I'd take Ingram. Just because if it's a guy that we know is capable of doing a lot more. And he's got the relationship with the OC. I'd rather have a piece of the Broncos offense.
There you go. It's a Broncos show. We got to take him.
We have to. It's a shame that Pat Bryant is not part of this team. Team 11
really
says,
is
you
a
know
shame
what?
that we didn't get
Yeah, that's a absolute.
We had to take Tank Bigsby there, right? Was that
Yeah.
Tank? And
Yeah.
was hoping he'd come back,
But Ryan, I can't thank you enough for coming on. Really, it's awesome to finally get to talk to you. I can't wait to do the same with. I'm going to wear a black T-shirt next Sunday, Ryan, for Ben. I am not going to wear orange for Ben. I'm going to go right to black. But Ryan, really can't thank you enough.
Yes, thank you
for coming on with us and doing this, man. It's been great. I love listening to you. Everyone should listen to Ryan and his shows. If you want to learn about football, right, and really learn about football, because like I said, Ryan, beside all of his knowledge, he works with Dave Logan, who is one of the most accomplished high school football coaches in the country. The Broncos play-by-play guy, Steve Atwater, comes on. He has Nate Jackson on at times. Ben is with Nick Ferguson. Nick has been amazing, Ryan. Like, he just seems like the nicest guy. And it's funny. I've listened to his radio career, even with when you and Ben split up, right? Like, Ben struggled at first to like lead the program. Like, you could see it. Ben's come into his own. Nick's come into his own. Nick is an ex-defensive back, and I'd love one day, Ryan, to talk to Nick about that damn loss to the Steelers. I know it hurts him, that championship game, but that's one of that game and the Flacco Raven game, Ryan, as a Bronco fan. Besides the Super Bowl beatings we took when I was younger, those two games I just can never get over for the life of me how they lost. But Ryan, Ryan and the guys at KOA, they just know so much about the game. And when you want to learn about football as a fan, even if you're doing fantasy or a casual fan, I just honestly, Ryan, I feel more educated about football since I've listened to you guys. I truly mean that. I'm not saying that because you came on. I honestly watch differently. Even like when we're watching the goddamn offense and we're like, what the hell is Peyton doing? But maybe it's because he wants the defense to be in a position like that Jet game in London last year where you literally want to rip your eyebrow hair out watching that game. It was so bad. But he was playing for the defense to win the game, right? Bottom line. So, these are the things that you guys talk about as a fan. You're just screaming and yelling like, what the blank is going on? I really would recommend everybody. And Ryan and Ben on Sundays, guys, fantasy. If you like to bet, tremendous. Ben, a big gambler, obviously, Ryan. Ben bets the board. So really, I recommend them listen to you guys on Sunday. But Ryan, really, thank you so much for coming on, man. We really appreciate
thanks
it.
again.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, fellas. Appreciate it. And, best of luck this season. Let me know how this team does.
Yeah, we'll definitely be in touch, Ryan. Thanks for coming on, man.
Talk to you soon. Bye.
Take care. All right, Matt. So great. Thank you to Ryan. I wanted to make sure he got out.
Yes, that was awesome. Bengals kicker here.
Yeah, I'm fine. And we'll do a quick recap because I haven't really looked at the board, Matt.
Unless you want something else, but that's fine.
No, that's fine. By the way, hitting 400 tonight on the stream, Matt. Looking at the stats. So that's a thank you for everyone who's watched.
Yes,
and people who've come in, and Ryan was great. Really gave us a lot of good information about the Broncos, about other guys and teams that he likes. But you really listen, everyone. You got right from the Broncos sideline. This guy's sitting there. He covers the team. Great insights on the team and the players that we should be watching. So let's now look at the recap here, Matty. Let me see here.
I mean, I like it because it's a different team for us. It's not a lot of the same guys, and that's, I think, what we wanted to do tonight from this spot. We'll be picking 2 on Wednesday night, so I think we'll be a little more back to usual.
Right. But this is good for us, right? Because we're at a different spot.
And real quick, as I saw, I think it was Pistol Pete that made the comment, Luther Burden, he's injured.
Yeah.
I know that.
Yeah.
I don't think it's more than, a couple of weeks. I think they're just being really precautious. And I'm going to take that gamble if that's why we got, 5 wide receivers in the first 7 rounds.
Yeah. So my nephew pointing out, Mike, we'll go through the teams right now. So let's 16 tight end. Let's absorb these one by one.
Wow. I didn't see. Damn. Yeah. I mean, team 3 had,
hold on. That we're being baited, but BMC, Josh Bowling's expecting me to go back to my usual self. See, it was impressive. Now we could cut loose. Now, you know what, Josh? We're going to take a different approach and stay professional on this stream. You know, right, man? I think we keep it kind of where we're at. So let's look at team one.
Screw that. Let's get punchy.
Let's get punched. All right, so team one, you know, they change it up. I like the start, man. I mean, he did what you're supposed to do build-wise, right? Yellow and blue and bang 5 greens
I
out.
like the start. I like the Brooks. He got Gainwell. He got Stevenson. I would have taken a quarterback, you know. I mean, I guess getting the Stevenson pick was really nice for him. None of the quarterbacks came back. So, I mean, look, he's got Matthew Stafford and Murray. So, I guess I just think, I don't know.
You don't like it?
I like aspects of it. I think the first 8 picks were good. I would have tried to. I'm trying to think of who's. I'm just trying to look at the board. Like instead of Monangai or Dowdle, does he go with another wide receiver? You know, I mean, the quarterback. There was nobody. I mean, he could have taken like an upside swing. So look, it's not a bad team. It's not. I'm trying to look at things what I would have done differently.
Right. Okay, but I like his. I mean, yes, Chase Pickens, Waddle, McBride. That's pretty legit. Listen, his running backs are, you know, he's got kind of the potpourri of running backs. You need 2 of these guys to pop. None of them are guaranteed to pop at all. None of them are even guaranteed starters. So you're going with the running back kind of by committee and hoping that 2 of these guys emerge. And obviously the first guy.
I think getting Brooks as his RB1 with, you know, getting Stevens and Gainwell there, that I really like because he has Brooks as his RB1. So if you're gonna, you know, get to that 7-8 turn, you know, maybe other people like Pollard or something, but I like Gainwell and Stevenson there. Like that's a time where I do want to take Stevenson, even though I'm a Trevian guy.
All right, so let's look at team 2. Build wise, you know, a little light on the receivers. Waited to really hit the running backs, but not a terrible construct. Hit the 2 quarterbacks there. Nice room of Nixon Mahomes. I think I pulled off that one of that. You know, Loveland moved up to the 4th round, so we thought that would happen last night, Matt. It didn't happen tonight.
Mm-hmm.
I can't argue that. I think Loveland ahead of guys like Tate and Burden, McLaurin. You know, hard to argue. I think that's a good value. I don't know. I like team 2, which is my favorite team, but I think there's a lot of good, solid picks and construct seems okay to me. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I would have liked one more, you know, receiver in there, but you know, you got to do what you got to do, I guess.
Well, man,
he's got Bijan and he's got Judkins, so he's got that. I can see taking the swing at Price.
Yeah, I like the Price
instead
pick.
Of Pollard, you know,
Wandale or Higgins. Yeah,
you know, so I'm getting that up because I mean Bijan and Judkins is a really, you know, solid foundation. And you're taking Price, that's your upside running back there.
Right.
So that's where I would have went with the running back.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I would say that's the only part. I agree with you there. But overall, pretty solid. Team 3, which seems to be the team getting a little bit of so team 3 starts out with what I would think is a gift.
It is a gift, but I don't think they took advantage of it, as was mentioned in the I'm not trying to be mean, but
some of our elite fans pointed out. So
if you want to go Jeremiah Love in the 3rd, you can't hit Allen, and you can't go back to Trevion. Like in the 4th round, you take a receiver there. In the 5th round, take the top receiver you think on the. You know, I don't know. That's where I have the problem. And then, I mean, I'm not even going to talk about the 6 tight ends, but you know, that's what you have. Gibbs, you're given an advantage.
Yeah, your cheat code, right. I mean, you're giving a what I like to call a running back and a half when you got Gibbs, right? So you know you should be literally hitting the yellows. Again, team 3 to me is not what I would do. I think that's team is going to struggle. Team 4.
Yeah, Duke, he always does a good job.
Yeah, I mean, Duke's got his guys, right? So Duke's moving, so Neighbors, we said yesterday, second round, he's going to live there.
I wonder if he's got a Javante tattoo.
He might though. He might. He probably maybe he won a Javante tattoo at a local poker tournament. Duke's a big Golden guy, so he's like the Warren Buffett of stockholding Matthew Golden.
See, for us right here, I mean, personally, I think Jalen Reed's a much better wide receiver. I don't think that's.
Well, Ryan, agree with you. Ryan Edwards
does
Jaden
Golden have upside? Absolutely. I think for our team, when we took Brian Thomas. That's our big hitter right there.
Yeah.
That's our big hitter. I wanted like a Downs or a Reed to, have that piece there. We got London, we got Higgins. And I think Reed's got the possibility of blowing up. This guy is very good. When he touches the ball, I mean,
he's explosive. He's an explosive asset on offense.
I mean, the Golden pick is I knew if whoever we took, he was taking the other guy. I mean, I even thought about, Jordan Addison. I just really worry about Kyler Murray. I really do.
Someone told me today, Matt, that they were listening to a guy.
But I do like Addison.
A guy who's been at a Vikings camp for years. I don't know if he's a reporter or some insider. He said that he was at camp 2 days late last week or this weekend. He said that J.J. McCarthy was miles better than Kyler Murray. He said it wasn't even close.
I'm hearing some things that, like, they had, like, I don't know what kind of things. Like, how they do these preseason things. Like, the Bills had a night. Everybody has a night. The Packers had a night. And it kind of seemed like JJ. Look, I mean, for fantasy, JJ was putting up 20-point weeks towards the end when he got a chance.
Yeah, he ran the shit out of the ball.
Yeah, he could run. I mean, look, I just never been a Kyler guy. And I'm going to have some JJ shares, but it scares the shit out of me at the back end. Because it's not that I think Jefferson's one of the best receivers in the league, but we saw what happened last year. We saw it fail.
Yeah, so that's been interesting. So I mean, Duke obviously team 4. He loves Garrett Wilson. I mean, Duke takes his guys.
He's right though. I mean, like you should be taking Duke's an overall winner.
Right.
Duke's doing it. Why aren't you doing it?
Yeah, look at that. Matt with a public service announcement for Duke Viveros. No one better than that. Team 5, he was in an earlier draft and he struggled. I remember the name and we questioned what he was doing, but Team 5 did not screw this one up.
No, he did not. I really like this team.
I think this Team 5 really this is a nice team.
This team caught my eye immediately.
Yeah, I mean, he did hit the 4 wide, very good spot there. 3 running backs. We like all 3 of them, you and I.
When the Greek says you're copying his stuff? This guy copied you. How about that?
Look at that. They always say, man, plagiarism is the best form of flattery.
I will say, I mean, look, you took Terrence Ferguson in the 11th. Look, Terrence Ferguson's going in the 13th in a lot of these.
Yeah, that's crazy. I think that's a little crazy, by the way. I think the
helium
it is,
but it's just
helium's a little too strong. Yeah, it's a little too strong. But I mean, he is again, Matt. And I like what Ryan said, Matt. You like guys on good offenses, right? And Ferguson is in a good weather situation on a great offense, great coach.
And I just look after Puka and Adams. Who's their wide receivers? Like he's the best guy.
There is no 3. And there's no 3 on the Rams team.
The guy was basically out. What I was saying back in early June, he's basically Alec Pierce as a tight end.
But I think about it, Matt. Great tight end room, good quarterback room. I give Team 5 an A+. I think you really did a great job.
Ed caught my eye immediately. Yeah. This was the first, and like I said, I was trying to concentrate on the draft because you were asking a lot.
We had
a special guest, and
we pulled. Listen, I think we pulled it off pretty good, Matt. Looking at our Team 6, we went Chase Brown. Matt and I talked about him or Amon Ra at that point. We had.
I personally need some more Chase Brown. I know you're a huge Chase Brown guy.
I've been on
him. Greek, you are gonna hear it from the Greek tomorrow because he took him at 7. I think in the Davis Maddock.
I was taking Chase Brown earlier than him, so he's full of shit. It was definitely
so. I look. I'm happy we changed this up a bit. I'll give you my thoughts here on I thought the 2 key spots for us. Look, I think Burden's going to be he's going to be playing week 1. I think he's proved everything for them. The whole off season, the OTAs, the beginning of camp. It's just get healthy now.
All right.
Just take the time off.
No one's going to care that you've been out for camp if you start producing week 1. No one's going to give a shit.
But I'm saying the coach, they've said it from weight training in the early off season to the OTAs he dominated to the beginning of camp. So I'm not worried about that. I'm going to be honest with you. I think it was Pistol Pete saying Burden's hurt. Yeah,
we know.
I'm aware. I'm very much aware of that.
We're well aware.
And the other key pick was in round 6 when we took Brian Thomas. I thought we needed Brian Thomas here as our 4th receiver. I thought was too good to pass up. I love getting stacks, but you don't got to stack it every time. And we still had Caleb as a possibility. And we ended up with Caleb and Chuck, which I was thrilled about. So I thought Brian Thomas was the upswing play as our wide receiver 4 that we had to take.
Yeah, I let's say obviously tight end, Matt. That's the one area that we went with Kittle, which hopefully he's on the field. We got obviously Dulcich as a backup, but we said the other night we wanted to get some Swift, so we've added Swift now both nights. I like that running back depth. Shuck was a smart pick for us to back up our quarterback. Hurst was another guy, Matt, you and I have talked about getting a shot at. We wanted Pat Bryant, but we know that, listen, I can effectively say we're steaming Pat Bryant a little bit, Matt, with our
honestly, though, if Shuck was off the board, we would have taken Pat Bryant there, but I thought there was no way we had to take Shuck. We had to take him there. I think he's, kind of on the Dart-esque of quarterbacks. So as our backup with Caleb, I thought that was too good of a pick.
All right. So let's look at, what do you think of Team 7?
Team 7. See, where I like the start. It's just now you got Courtland Sutton as your wide receiver 3, which that could pay off. I'm just not really into Courtland this year. And then Lemon, who I said the thing, I think the potential, if you had a guy that, maybe it's just my personal taste. If it was a wide receiver I like better at 3, but I could be completely wrong here on Courtland Sutton. So I do like that, he just nailed, he got Lemon, Concepcion. These are guys that I think maybe it takes to the second half, but these are guys you want to have as bench step that could hit. These are 2 really good wide receivers. You got Coker. So, I guess it's structurally, I would rather have my 3rd wide receiver before the 7th round. That's probably my biggest gripe. Yeah. Whether no matter who it is, whether it's somebody I like or I don't like, I would probably have liked to gotten that pick there. That's my gripe on that. So
he took Kraft, right? 2 guys that he took that we debated, right, was Burrow instead of Thomas and obviously Kraft instead of Caleb. Where if we would have went with, Burrow obviously earlier, we would have, tried to grab Kraft in round 8. But I agree with you on the receivers. It's from a build perspective, like I said, he's got the quarterback 1. He did not back Joe Burrow up, by the way.
I don't think you have to back up the elites.
Yeah.
I like having a backup quarterback. Like I would have taken a shot on a Danny Dimes because
something
he was
at the
really
end.
good last year, and if he sucks, you cut him early. Yeah. So you don't have to take a backup quarterback when you have elites, but I do like it. Like the other night, why did we take the 3rd quarterback? Because Danny Dimes in the 19th or 20th round.
Right. Like why not? Like why not? Right. Yeah. Right. I don't understand that.
What if he comes out the first week and he's awesome?
Yeah.
And then, you got to bid on him.
Yeah, and in a position that's so important, Matt, right? Where you think about this, there's a few teams that you have unplayable starting quarterbacks, so you're down to probably 26 or 7 teams that have a quarterback, and if everyone takes 2, that's 24. There's only 3 potentially left that are valuable, or even maybe somewhat valuable. So I don't agree with that, especially when you got people taking 3 to 4 tight ends, and in this case 6 tight ends. I can't see taking three quarterbacks is crazy.
I mean, I don't know if everybody's going to hold on to their 3 quarterbacks for long term.
Right? Yeah, of course not. I mean, but
that's not going to happen.
It should never know, though, Matt. You never. It's a one position.
You never know. But then you never know, like what happens week 1. You know, Aaron Rodgers throws 4 touchdowns, which I doubt. But I'm just saying, I'm just making some crazy shit up.
So teammate, our friend Jody Ryan, I think he minds us mentioning. So Jody, 3 running back start.
But he did it the right way. I mean,
yeah. But Jody's a great drafter. He knows what he's doing, and he does a lot of volume. So I like the fact that a guy like Jody will also, Matt, mix up his portfolio, right? So you know what?
That's like what we did tonight.
You got to mix up your portfolio, and he goes with 3 running backs that are pretty solid. We don't really talk a lot about Derrick Henry, you and I, Matt. I know you probably don't like him.
I wanted to. I just don't think it's tough to not like. I totally. Nelson was on this early on in draft season, over a month or so ago, because I've been doing all the live streams with him. About the 3rd round really needs to be yellow, and I've come around to that too, where it really has to be. In the 4th round, I could debate Jeremiah Love when he falls. I mean, I saw Breece Hall go in the early 5th the other day. Like Scatterboo would be an option for me in the 4th. But Jody's team, Jody drafts solid teams. So
you have Lawrence in the 9th round's good value. Listen, Michael Wilson probably will deliver value again, man. I just feel like he's a little underrated. The year he had, and we talked about the Cardinals. As much as they may suck, they're going to throw the ball 80 times a game.
I mean, look, I know he's the better prospect and everything, but gun to my head with this team, I'd rather have Michael Wilson than Marv. That might be stupid to say.
No, I've said that. I've some people have told me I was out of my mind. Marvin Harrison just has the draft slot and the name.
I just watched this kid, everything he did late in that season, whatever that second. I know Marv got hurt. And I'm watching in camp. This guy's like a dog. He's just, And look, rookie quarterback. It's camp. I understand that, but he's throwing some beautiful passes. He really is.
Yeah.
So,
team 9, another guy we see a lot in the rooms. He goes.
Yes, this is another really good draft.
Yeah, I like. Listen, the construct is what you want, right? And then he went elite quarterback at 7. Grabbed a tight end at 8. Not worried about Dobbins' injury. So I like the fact.
No, I mean I would have taken Dobbins. If at that point we needed the, like I said, I was taking Caleb in the 8th round. I thought that was the play.
I was surprised you took Pacheco. Pacheco was pretty clear he's going to be out for a while. He might not even.
Yeah, I personally didn't like Pacheco even when he was healthy. But that's the only thing I'll say negative about this team. Otherwise, I really like this team. I thought
Texans, and not to mention D, but the Texans D, nice value there at 13, 14. It's about where you want to take.
Yeah, I think it was real. I like Boston, as my 5. And look, if you're going to take a receiver in Miami, Malik Washington, or I guess Caleb Douglas, you got to take the shot on. But I thought it was a really good draft. And I like that he took Ollie Gordon. Ollie Gordon seems like the backup over Jalen. Just to let you know. I know you're.
Well, I was taking Jalen Wright earlier I haven't taken him much, but I've been hitting him 19th, 20th round. But that's good because
you're gone for a week. Whatever it was.
Yeah, I missed the Ollie Gordon ascension.
It sounds like that's what they want to do. I'm not saying that it's etched in stone, but
our friends at Team 10, double running back.
Another really good draft. We expect that.
All right, 3 wide receivers.
Didn't have to take Chig, so we could have had Chig, but
yeah,
I don't have a problem with it. I don't have a problem with. I'm just saying that because I would have liked to have had him, but I honestly don't have a problem with it. I still like Chig, and I think he's going in the 15th round now. That's an easy pick. He's getting discounted. Too much in my opinion.
Yeah. So I hear
again, I don't know what to say bad about this team. I love the Genty Hampton start. Like they say there's very few edges, but social media exists, so there's edges. I don't care if the head coach is coming out and saying it. Look, in Miami, he had Mostert and Achane. I can see Hampton and look, Keaton Mitchell has a role. He's going to have a special role. And Vidal, to me, is the handcuff if Hampton goes down. So, I hope if people are stupid enough to let Hampton go down, like in trading places, I'll be buying up.
Yeah. All right. So let's wrap up Team 11, who broke our heart in round 15. Yes. But Taylor Barkley, this is constructed very nicely, Matt, right? The two backs, and he hits four receivers, and he hits the elite tight end. He builds a Washington stack with Rashad White, Diggs, Daniels, and even says, I'll take JCM. And then he really hits his wire. I don't know if I'm taking Calvin Ridley at all. But
yeah, I'm not. I mean, I'll say taking Calvin Ridley over Pat Bryant is his biggest mistake. He's lucky to get that. But
and he also gave up backup tight end. Again, I know I love Tyler Warren, and I'm not benching him.
Yeah, but I'm not worried about that though. Every year you get tight ends. People, one guy drafted 6 tight ends. He's going to be cutting 4 of them.
Yeah. You're right.
There's going to be tight ends out there. A tight end they come available every year.
You see, Matt, that's why people should listen to us, Matt. That's where that's where the Matt Modica brilliance comes out. The guy who drafted.
Do I want to have doubling up? But then you're giving up something else too.
Right. Right.
So if I'm spending the pick on Warren, I'm making that bet on him. Would I take would I have taken a Dulcich or somebody later on? Absolutely.
I would have taken.
I would have went Bryant and then Chig.
Right, that's what I was going to say. Or, Matt, I would have said, give me free look Barner instead of your boy Brandon Ayuk, for God's sake. Like, that's just not too smart at the end.
Like I said, I spent like 4 or 5 days drafting Ayuk, and I renounced all those picks. But no, I mean, look, that's a good team. So he
So to wrap up, so we can at least over here get to bed before midnight. I'm still
jet lagged.
No, remarkably, Matt, I didn't sleep well at all last night. I got up early, went back to bed, got up, worked all day, bounced around. So I'm ready for bed in about 5 minutes. But Bowers at the top of the 3rd round, nice value. So then he goes 2 running backs. The quarterback at that point, I love Lamar. I might have went receiver instead of Lamar. But, you're also in that 3rd tier of Diggs, Downs, Jaden Reed, Golden.
To me, the biggest question was the Pierce pick here. I mean, for me, I would have went Downs if I was taking it. Look, Pierce is getting another PP, whatever it's called, PRP injection today. It just seems like this foot just hasn't been right, and I'm just really nervous about that if I'm taking Pierce. I mean, it is the 7th round, but I would have taken, Downs, the Packers wide receivers, Addison, Diggs. I'm just really worried about.
I know.
I was one of his biggest fans last year.
I know that you like to talk more about builds and players. I don't like the players in this team.
Well, see, I don't like the players at 4 or 5, but I mean, for their price,
no. I actually don't mind the first 5 or even Lamar.
No. I'm just making the point. But the build is, I can't kill the build. Being that he only had the 2 wide receivers who are 2 studs, let's get that straight. And then he has Bowers, who's, that start is great. You're taking on a guy that's just like his foot hasn't been right for months now.
Yeah. Something.
When you had his teammate there, you had Reed, Golden, Addison, Wilson,
Wandale,
Diggs. I would have just taken a guy that I know, hasn't had any foot problems all for the past 4 months.
Yeah. So, all right, Matt, another great draft. We're closing close to 500 watchers, actually a little bit less, 450 now. But really tremendous, support tonight from everybody out there. Thank you for watching. Again, one more thank you to Ryan Edwards, who was really great, Matt. Just great conversation with Ryan.
That was great having him on. Get some Denver insight. He knew football, so
he's like I said, I've really learned a lot just listening to these guys about the game, and they have a lot, like I said, ex-pros on there, and even Carlos, like Shelby Harris goes on. during the offseason. So here's an active NFL player hosting the radio show talking about football. And, you're learning from a guy who's in the locker room, he was with the Browns last year. He's still going, and he's with the Giants. So thank you, Ryan. Next Sunday, we'll have Benjamin Albright, who is one of the lead personalities at KOA. Ben's great. Ben's an insider, not as much of a fantasy guy, big sports bettor, insider with information around the league. So we'll talk to Ben about his views. Ben's a fun guy. He'll have a lot to say, some strong opinions. So I can't wait to have Ben on. It was great having Ryan on. Everybody, thanks for watching. We'll be back Wednesday at 9.
Wednesday night
with our tag team. With the boys.
Pick two.
So we'll be picking number 2. We kind of know where that'll go. So we're looking forward to that.
And really, from Paul, right?
Say that again, man. Which one?
Utah 2.
No, tell me.
I don't know if we can be friends anymore. Point Break, when Gary Busey tells him to get the 2 meatball subs. Come on, Paul. It's one of the classics.
Man, we're gonna do the movie stream one night, man. We're gonna do that, and I bet you a lot of the old farts like us in this stream will come watch. But we'll be on Wednesday night. Josh Bowling, congrats to him and Dan Jewett putting together the tag team, which should be a lot of fun. We'll actually have Chris Vaccaro and Lou Weber, who are on with Dan and Josh tonight. And, notice the contrast hairstyles. Lou Weber, really well done, full head of hair, well styled. Then you got your boy Curly Vaccaro there, still confused on top. So that should be an interesting group to join me and Maddie on Wednesday. I think that's going to be a hell of a lot of fun. Those guys are all fucking awesome. So we're looking forward to that. And then we'll be back on Sunday. I'll be drafting a bunch this week, Matt. So really awesome stuff. Let's keep an eye on what's going on in the NFL. Everybody, thanks for joining. I'll be posting this recap, and we look forward to seeing you all on Wednesday. Maddie, talk to you tomorrow, bud.
Talk to you tomorrow. Peace out, guys.
Not everybody.